The views and opinions expressed during Love and Life with Lena and Dave are those only of the speakers and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or the position of our podcast hosts or affiliates. Any content provided is not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. All right, let's do it.
You're listening to Love and Life with Lena and Dave, the podcast where logic is power and you take control. Thank you for tuning in and making the choice to listen in and get ideas for your own love and life. Now, here are your hosts, Lena Williams and David Vaccaro. I'm Dave.
I'm Lena.
Yes, you are. And today we're doing this live this week. No.
Yes,
Are we doing it this week or today?
Stop you with this.
I know.
It's this week. Well, see, we had a couple of weeks off, and we're a little off schedule here.
Oh, yeah.
Because we would have done one. I think it's been a little over a week since we've had one, but we have put several
Yes.
in the pipeline.
That sounded dirty.
We're getting really close to the...
We put some in.
You know, this
put
is
in
why
the
I
can.
pick my words, because if I say something that sounds half dirty, I got to listen to Dave say, well, that sounds
Yes, you
dirty.
do.
And I already know that this is. You're starting to become like the other half of my brain, which is really. Don't choke on your soda.
It's soda. Don't say I'm drinking soda. I am drinking.
Oh, what is that? Oh, it is. I didn't know what it was.
Iced tea.
It's iced tea?
Yeah, extra sweet tea. It's wicked sweet. It's horrible. It's too sweet.
So we're trying to incorporate, and I don't know how often we're going to do this. At some point, we're going to come out with some kind of video, something or other. Not necessarily that we have to do it all the time, but it's kind of a nice.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad to have to actually be able to record, and it's going to take additional equipment where we can actually just set up cameras and have at it. So,
right. Maybe a Patreon or something. I don't know. Or a YouTube or something.
We shall see.
But we're working on that.
Yeah. So this week.
We're doing this now because we got pulled into a live, and I'll have to repeat this. I know the people that have already listened to me say this once, but the reason we're doing this now is it came up over the weekend for some people that I know that were discussing going out by yourself. If you're single and you're kind of hanging out on the weekend, you don't really have plans, things like that. What should you be going out by yourself? And if so, is there any problem with that, or is there any way to do that? I don't know, there's some people who are anxious about that, or some people who are a little bit, I don't know what you would call it, because I don't have this. I don't want to say it's a problem, but I guess it kind of is for me. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not sure what you would call it. But some people are a little bit worried about going out by themselves. They figure they're going to be looking bad if they do that. Well, that's Dave's way of saying it.
Well,
I'm trying. I'm always the diplomatic one, and Dave is like,
not.
No, I'm just going to call these people names because that's how Dave is. But.
Yeah, I'm the mean girl.
But there's all kinds of different things. Like some people really, if you don't really want to go out, whether you go out with others or not, if you like really being home and you like being a homebody, that's fine. So I'm not saying that anybody that doesn't want to be out should be out. But if you really want to be out and about and you're not going anywhere because there's really not people to go with, or people have other plans, or your friends are all doing their own thing or whatever, I personally think you should, come up with a list of things that list of things that you've always wanted to do. I don't care what it is.
Right.
And just go. Just get your keys and go. And
yeah,
I always tell people, there's people when you get there, I want to go with someone. I want to be by myself. I'm like, well, you're not going to be yourself when you get there, because there's be people when you get there. There'll be people there when you show up.
That's the thing, and I get it. But, and there are plenty of people out there that are always saying, listen, I want to meet somebody. And I go, yeah, but, and the person who posted this and said, you're not going to meet somebody if you're sitting at home watching, eating snacks, watching Netflix. And that's a fact, right? Chances are pretty good if you're looking for Mr. Right. He's not going to knock on your door and go, hey, are you watching Netflix down here? it's not going to happen. So,
And you know what? You don't really want somebody.
that's right. You sure
guarantee.
don't. If somebody comes knocking at
Take
my
it
door,
from both Dave and I, who've had people do that.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not really the
Nope.
fun that
You
it,
are not
it sounds
invited.
like. Yeah.
and if you're not invited, you
It's
invite
like a strange
yourself.
person to show up at your door and be like,
Yeah.
Is that The Handmaid's Tale? Because it sounds like it.
Yeah. Can I?
No.
My Netflix isn't working. Can I come over and watch Netflix? Probably
Oh.
no.
Is that potato salad?
Yeah. That potato salad.
Get outta
Can I
here.
have a bite? No, you can't.
No.
Beat it. Yeah. And so, so the person's not wrong saying that, if you sit at home watching Netflix, you're not going to meet somebody. That's a fact. And I get it. And we did a podcast on this recently.
We did.
And it's out already. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, it's been out.
Okay, I don't-
It's like been. If you look it up, if you go to laneanddave.com or www.laneanddave.com, because if you don't put the www in front, you're going to get something that's not.
It doesn't work anymore for some reason. It used to.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't know
I've
what
never
happened.
seen it
I
work.
will-
I've actually never seen it work.
Oh, maybe.
Since it's from the time that I've done it, if I don't put that in front, I'll get something else. But if you do that, you will see that's our main page. And I think I want to go back into. I want to say July.
Oh.
That we did a 2-part, and Dave and
Yes.
I with our cliffhangers. We're going to stop that.
No, we're not.
But we did a 2-parter.
We're going to try.
No, we are. We really are.
We are.
It's either that or we're just going to post 3-hour podcasts, but because we don't shut up.
That's a problem.
But the thing is, it started with just the social interaction of what the world is like now based on how it used to be. And the world changes. So, as much as we all want to be like, well, wouldn't it be nice if it was 1975? I mean, it's not going to happen because life goes on and things change and technology changes and people go with it. So there's an adjustment period of overtime. That social interaction is going to be different, but it's like we have to kind of adjust to it and figure out how we're going to, interact in this day and age with what we have. So in-person interaction is what we were dealing with in that podcast, where it was like, you get in your car, you go somewhere. If you see somebody you like, then you talk to them. We did start with just talking to people in general. Like if you're just out and about, getting gas, going to the store, doing what you have to do, doing errands, and you just see people in your travels, just being able to make conversation with other human beings
Right.
is probably a good idea first.
Mm-hmm. I tell people that are shy, listen, don't go to a bar and expect to come out of your shell in a bar. It's a wrong place to do it. The best place to do it is,
I mean, it seems like the right
it's
thing
not,
to do when
though.
you've had a few
It's
drinks.
it's really not, because it's much more difficult, because everybody and a lot of people that are out at bars are already grouped up, right? So you have to infiltrate a group as
Sure.
opposed to having a conversation. The best place for me to have conversations, and I do it all the time, when I'm pumping gas. You can make a comment about the price of the gas, whatever. It's going to begin, and we've talked about this a million times.
Right.
The conversation.
The side-
don't walk
keep
up to
that,
somebody and
by
go,
the way.
"Hi, my name is David." Who gives a ever-loving shit unless I'm running for mayor, right? It doesn't matter, and we already talked about this in one of our podcasts.
We did.
Not-
we don't have to go through the whole
Yeah,
thing.
we're not going to.
But
yeah,
a side conversation is just better. People are less defensive.
they're more likely to get involved with the conversation if you begin
Well,
a
yeah,
conversation.
they're just. It isn't as I don't know what it is. For me myself, I don't want to say that it's threatening. I think for some people it is. It isn't for me. It's just I'm wondering what it is this person.
Well,
wants.
here's the psychology behind that, right? If I come up to you and say, "My name is David," it's like I'm coming up
Well,
and I'm
even
going,
if you don't say your name is David, but if you come straight at me and shake my hand,
right.
and try to do an intro like cold when I don't know you.
So imagine somebody coming
I'm
up to you
gonna
and
instantly-
going, "Hey, I'm here to meet you. I'm meeting you."
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah,
hey,
I'm here
how
to
you-"
meet you.
You're like,
Yeah,
whoa.
it's weird,
just
right?
There's something about it that it's overwhelming.
Right. So it's easier just to walk up to somebody, or I'm pumping gas and I go, and I see a pretty girl and I want to have a conversation. I'll say, "Did you mortgage your house to get gas today?" And she'll say, "I know, right?" And I'll be like, "Well, it's coming down a little bit." Now we have a conversation going. Now we can have a
Right.
conversation, and then eventually
See how easy that is?
it is so
funny.
it is so easy.
I'm not trying to belittle people who are not
Right.
good at this, but it really isn't that. It's really that simple. It's just really that simple.
yeah.
I mean, the only way to really deal with anxious stuff like that is to me, action conquers fear. So if you have a fear of doing something, the best way to deal with it is to just rip the Band-Aid.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And just do it. Just say what you, I mean, obviously you can't, you have to get used to talking to people and feeling them out and understanding facial expressions and,
Right.
you know, things like that, just to understand, like, when you're having a conversation with another person, just kind of energy and things like that. So it doesn't have to be, I've always said, don't talk to somebody that you're interested in or attracted to, like, right out of the gate. It's better to just speak with all kinds of people.
Right.
And I would say lean towards people that you're really not attracted to, just other human beings.
Good start. Yep. Because
just so that you can learn about, you want to learn, figure out how to discuss, you know, life with people and learn.
Right. You have to learn how to have a conversation with somebody when you have no intentions, right? Because as soon as you approach somebody with intention, they feel that intention, right? So imagine, okay, so forget for a minute that you're approaching somebody with the intention of dating that person or sleeping with them or whatever it is you're trying to do. Imagine if it was the other way around and you were approaching somebody or somebody was approaching you with the intention of beating your ass. You're going to immediately know that, right? You're going to feel like, something bad's about to happen. Well, women feel like that. When a guy approaches them, they're like, here comes a dick pic, but in real life, right? So it's not necessarily a good thing. So if you learn to talk to people without any intention, you'll find, and I went out last night, and it's been a long time since I've been out of the bar, and I decided I'm going to start talking to women that I don't know and see how this works for me. And it worked 100%. Not one girl said, I have a boyfriend when you first approach. And guys will tell you, I hate it when I go up to a girl and I go to say hi to her and she's like, I have a boyfriend. You know, many of these girls may have had boyfriends, but they still had a conversation with me, right? So it does work 100%. It works 100% to be able to talk to somebody when you actually have no intention. Because when you have no intention, and that can change, of course, but initially when I meet somebody, I don't care how beautiful she is. My intention is to see if she's retarded or not. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, I know I'm so eloquent. In other words, is she like even somebody that I want to talk to? Just because she's pretty doesn't mean that.
This is another thing. Your energy as a person, when you're out and about, that also translates. So if you're out and you're looking to talk to people and you're like worried enough about whether they're going to like you,
right?
That, in my opinion, that translates and that gives them the upper hand. It's not something they know or they think about. It's just something that unconsciously happens.
Of course.
You also don't want to be, and I know a lot of guys that are like, they come in like, hey, I own the place, and you know, they'll almost tell you straight out that you're the one that needs to give you need to give them attention and you need to compete for them. That ain't working either.
No.
That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But as much as you want them to like you, especially not, you know, Dave will tell you, I know exactly what he's thinking. I could see it in his brain, which is, you know, how do you know if this is a person you're seeing across the room, and you even to say, well, I hope they like me, is like based on what information? You don't know anything about this person.
Yes.
It's the only thing that you can do is see them. You haven't even heard them speak yet. So you have to think about that and say, well, you know, like why am I? Attraction is great. Don't get me wrong. Attraction is great. I mean, it's human nature. It's what makes the world go round, right? But
it makes me happy.
It calls, you know, I call it, you can get in the door with attraction, but you need to stay into the room. You need to stay in the room with something else.
Right.
So all you're doing with attraction is looking to find out whether there's more behind it. I mean, that's really what you should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a step.
And of course, all you want to do is, right. Yeah. And if you walk over and talk to somebody and you talk to them for 10 minutes and nothing happens,
time to go.
That should be fine.
Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah.
There's no, I can't believe this. There's no, I wanted this and I didn't get it. You know, there's none of this consolation. None of that. Just be a person and talk to another person. And just, you fill them out. They fill you out. It could go anywhere. It could go nowhere. But just expect nothing from it. And be pleasantly surprised if it becomes more than that. But, I mean, just the sour grapes thing is not a good idea. And as women, we can see that coming. We could sense it.
So Joelle said, but I think by looking at someone, you can get a little bit from who they are.
A little bit, Joel, but like if you watch them
very
walk
little.
and talk and I mean, obviously you can get mannerisms and some stuff like that. But I'm talking about like,
Right.
are you compatible with this person? Is this person, do they have a voice that you can listen to? I mean, that's where Dave's going to go with this, right?
Yeah,
but
Minnie Mouse is
can you
not
stand
my
listening?
friend.
I mean, I have a story about a guy that he was hot as hell. This guy was like I'm not going to say what he did I think if I say what I did, people
Don't
will
do
know
it.
who he is.
Don't do it.
But anyway, don't do it. Don't do it. Hot as hell. Met this guy out for breakfast. And for some reason, I didn't really think much of it because I'm not one for like a ton of phone calls. It's not my thing. But like I noticed that there was an absence of trying to get a phone call out of me, which is not usual. So it was like, oh, he was texting me and whatever, but like he didn't necessarily want to get on the phone even when we were meeting up. And I sat down and he started talking. And when I tell you it was Mickey Mouse, I just couldn't do it.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, you sit there for 10 minutes and it's terrible, but you're like, let me see if it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Like maybe I can, whatever. It wasn't my thing, but I'm saying these are the things you want to know. I mean, this is somebody you're going to be talking to for a long time.
Right. Do I want to be like sitting on the couch and have somebody yell from the other room and I go, Minnie Mouse is here? No. And I actually had a female friend she was very attractive too. And she had this voice. And it's funny because she used to literally call radio stations and they'd be like, put your mommy on the phone. She's like, I am, I'm 20, whatever she was, 20. I'm 28 years old. And they'd be like, okay, honey, nobody believed her ever on the phone. That's how, and her voice just like was piercing because she sounded like a little child all the time. And it would draw, I could not.
Right. And so Dave is going to say what he's going to say. I'm going to be the diplomatic person and say that everybody has somebody that they like, or a type of thing that they're into.
Absolutely.
And so no matter who you meet and no matter what they sound like, look like, how they walk, how they talk, whatever, all of that is like attractive and appealing to somebody somewhere.
Look, there are people that hump balloons. I mean, look, there's somebody for everybody. I mean, this is insane. Yes.
So here's my thing. Did I give you my analogy?
An analogy.
It's an analogy. We have to get a little thing, like a little drop that comes in when we give one that we can put in there.
But it has to be a button, though, because it's got to be live. Nope.
No, I can put it in later.
Nope.
I can add it.
I'll buy it.
No.
Nope.
Listen. All right, yeah, go ahead. Go buy a whole keyboard so I can push that one button.
I'm going to.
I don't care if that's what you want to do.
That's what I'm going to do.
Send it to me.
I'm going to.
Okay. So, or whatever, he'll buy it and he'll have it.
Yeah.
Are you going to say
sound
analogy? So listen, dating is like the match game, or even human energy is like the match game. In the sense that you have all of your cards. Let's say you have 52 cards. And let's say all of your cards or 50 cards and all of your cards have a match.
Right.
You shuffle them, you put them all face down, and all you're doing is looking for the match to the other card.
That's it.
And there's no personal to take from it. There's no attitude to take from it. You flip your card over, and they flip their card over, and it matches or it doesn't.
That's right.
Period. It's very simple.
Yes.
And if they don't match, you flip them over, and you go on with your life, and somebody else comes along
and picks
you flip your
card.
cards.
Exactly.
That's the way I've always seen it in my head.
Me too. Either you're a match or you're not.
And at some point, it takes longer, obviously, to flip the cards when you're a person and talking to another person. There's some stuff that you obviously need to learn.
Yes.
But basically, you're looking for, and I don't want to say twin flame and soulmate and all that, because that's not my thing.
No.
I think that's, that's not my deal. But I'm just saying that you need to find somebody that matches your energy, matches what you're looking for, has the kind of lifestyle you want, just, or you complement each other enough that it works.
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
a whole lot of that doesn't work.
And you find out over a period of time. I mean, look, and we've talked about this and everybody knows now, it's, I dated somebody for a year, and at the beginning, everything was great and everything was never bad, but it got to the point where I knew it wasn't going to grow anymore. We were missing certain things, and that's...
Well, wait, Ryan, why wouldn't my friends like somebody that matches with me?
What? Unless you're friends?
Like, why wouldn't my friends want anybody that I want as long as that person treats me well and it's good to me?
Touché.
You know what I mean? Good for me. And I say, listen, this is a person that matches everything is good. we're, whatever. We have each other's energy. We match. Everything's great. My friends are going to be happy for me, and they're going to want that from me as long as that person
Correct.
respects me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as long as I respect.
So, and let's not forget too, Ryan, that since you brought this up, that your friends don't like them. Your friends tend to see a lot more than you would see if you're beginning a relationship, and you can go back to our episode,
Our brain podcast.
Yes, how our brain works when we first meet somebody, the attraction and the chemicals that happen, and it blocks. And we'll be brief because we've got a whole episode on it, and you can go back and listen to it. It's the way our brain works, and it blocks us from making the right decision. So when your friends tell you, and this came from a woman who is very educated. She said, if your friends tell you somebody's not right for you, you should probably listen, even though we won't. And that's just what happens. So, usually if your friend doesn't like them, there's usually
I don't know if it's the honeymoon period or not, but
Yes.
sure, your frontal lobe does get blocked by a whole lot of chemicals in the beginning.
That's right. And it doesn't work.
Which is why you have to stop and like try to somehow journal or somehow analyze what's happening.
And pay attention
Say,
to
okay,
it and
I know that.
be honest with yourself.
And sort of just look at what's happening and then listen, look at how you see it and then look at how it really is and see if it matches.
And look, yeah, right. And look, see how other people see it too. And see, because guess what? If me and Lena are looking at the same thing, that is factual. What we're looking at is factual. And if we're seeing different things, one of us is wrong. Okay? And there's a reason why one of us might be wrong. Something's not right. You're colorblind.
So let's at least have the conversation.
Yes. So at least have the conversation.
Right? Nobody's really going to be defensive about it. And
Right.
And I will say this, and I don't want to sound flippant, but I do often sound flippant. So I guess that's probably how it's going to sound. Yeah. You can tell everybody around you whatever you want. It's your life.
That's
it's
right.
your life.
Yep.
If somebody's doing you wrong, you can tell everybody all day long how great they are.
Yep.
Because they'll go home and at the end of the day, it's not their problem.
Correct. Yep.
It's your problem. So between you and yourself, you have to straighten that out.
That's right.
And so I found that people will like to spin things to make it sound better than it is because they don't want somebody to tell them I told you so, or they don't
Right.
want somebody to.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I don't know, at least in my case with my friends, I've run into that. I'm very protective of my friends. So at the end of the day, the reason I go off the rails with my friends is because I don't want my friends to get hurt. I don't
Correct.
want them to get hurt.
Exactly. Yep.
And if I know somebody's hurting my friends and my friends are telling me this, it's really hard for me to be objective.
Right.
Because I'm close to my friends. I want my friends to be happy. I don't want somebody to come along and take advantage of them
course.
and then come report that to me.
Right. Yep.
So at some point I will have I'll end up getting into it with them. Like, okay, are you going to protect yourself from this thing that's happening to you or not? Because I want to take a tire iron to this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
if you don't want to,
Yeah.
then I can't have this conversation with you
Right.
anymore because
it's stressful for your
it's
friend.
hurting me
Of
to
course it
watch you
does.
go through that.
Absolutely.
So I need to, just don't talk to me about it anymore because
Right.
I can't.
Yeah, and that's
control
that's
it.
sad though, because look, I have a
is.
friend that's been going through some stuff myself, and watching him go through it kills me. So I'm stressed. I'm losing sleep, wondering if he's going to be okay.
And you can't do
No,
anything.
there's nothing I can do.
You're
I
helpless
feel
too, right?
helpless,
So-
right? It's like that dream where you're getting in a fight and you swing as hard as you can, and it's like, that horrible like.
I have a friend.
You guys couldn't
who
hear that on
once said to
Facebook
me-
Live, but that'll come out really good on the podcast.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did sound good. I have a friend who said to me once, and sometimes somebody will say something to me, and I'll never forget it for like years. He said to me, "There are aggravations in life. Some are necessary, and some are not. What you really want to try to do in life is take the unnecessary aggravation and remove it, because all that really does is it's going to affect your health. It's not
Right.
Why would you put up with unnecessary aggravation? It sounds really simple, but at the right time for me, I heard something like that, and I was like,
Right.
Duh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes more sense. So Christy said, I talked to a man for 2 weeks Finally met up in 2 seconds. I knew there was no chemistry. Perfect on paper.
Yes.
And
those
that's
are called
very
perfect
common.
on paper,
It
guys,
is
or good on paper. They're called. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
We do have
I've met people that are
that's a phenomenon.
perfect on paper. Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
should be, right? And you're like,
And then you meet them in person.
man, I wish I was into you
Yeah.
because this would be so easy.
Yeah, it would. But there needs to be the chemistry as well. And Paul said,
Right.
I dated a girl when I was in my 20s and was falling for her. Something happened. We ended up going our separate ways. 30 years later, we talked on Facebook from Maine to Mass for months. Finally came time to meet. And when we did, finally, I knew within a minute that it was not going to work just by the... I don't know by the H. Well, shit, Paul. You left us hanging. Okay. So, but yeah, you're exactly
Yeah,
right.
mean,
And so here's the thing. I talked to somebody on the phone for 5 years every day. I love this person I was talking to. Like, I have no idea. I could have been being catfished, not a concern, but I loved talking to this person. And I would totally have hung out with this person. Don't care what they look like. None of that mattered. We just had a connection on the phone, and we had a lot in common. So it was a really cool conversation. But, you know, I'm not the type of person that would fall for somebody until I can look in their eyes and physically touch them, because I'm a firm believer in you have to feel their energy, which you're not going to get over the telephone necessarily. Besides, you know, you may get our energy from the way we talk, the excitement of something. That's different. I'm talking about romantic energy you feel, right? You can't do that over the phone. The voice gives you some, but you literally have to look in that person's
do that
eyes.
Online either.
No, you really can't, right?
I have had people tell me,
Yeah.
I've seen your pictures and I'm attracted to you, and I'm like, that's not possible.
Oh, thanks, Paul. By the hug. So we were close. Hug. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't believe that is possible.
I believe it's a piece of a big puzzle. So there's a bunch of stuff that you throw together.
But don't forget, until you meet somebody, you all remember something. And it happened to me. This happened years ago, long before video chatting was a thing. It was actually when video chatting was being invented. There was this, I forget what the name of the app was, but I was working with a company out of Australia. And I ended up having to have phone conversations with a woman that worked there. And of course, I fell in love with her accent. And then we started video chatting, testing things, and she looked good, but it was choppy, right? So now I see this, she's a really pretty girl, and I see pictures of her, and I see this video that's really choppy. And I thought I was in love with this woman. Like, we had been talking for like a year. And so she came here to the United States for 2 weeks to visit. Well, when I met her in person, it's a totally different person. And not a different person, but I was idealizing a lot of things. And this is what we do. Before we meet somebody, we imagine what it's like when we meet them, and we idealize. We make them perfect. And when they get here and they're not perfect, that's exactly what happens.
To me, I mean, I know a lot of people have done long distance relationships, and I'm not knocking it. But that's really, to me, that's, you fill in what you don't know.
Correct.
Your brain just fills in and then when you're with somebody 24/7, it's just never what you imagine it to be. It can't be what you imagine it to be.
No.
Like, it just logically can't happen that way.
Right, because
we
idealize. We want things to be perfect as human beings, and we associate, we assume that it's going to be perfect, and then when they get here and it's not, it's such a huge disappointment, and that's why people, now it's different if you're already in a relationship and somebody moves away and then you're trying to make it work. Do your thing. I don't know how long I would last personally. I don't know, but there are people that do it successfully, and more power to you. And Lena, you're probably...
I mean, if you have all the money in the world, you can fly back and forth.
Yeah,
I mean, you see a lot of actors doing it and stuff, and I get it in that sense, because they have the money to just pick up
But a lot of actors you don't see in long-term relationships either, so...
Well, no, but I mean,
there's gotta be something said to that.
I get that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it all depends, but, in the case where... To me, anyway, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I don't know that I want somebody up under my feet either.
Right. I was just going to say that's not a bad thing for you. The longer the distance,
it is.
The better.
But it is, because I also like that. Hey,
come on over.
Either that or just like, hey, let's grab dinner.
Right. Yep.
Hey, let's get together a couple days and grab dinner. Let's go out somewhere, and it's like sort of close to the both of us, and. Either way. And morning, Kevin, even though it's not morning.
I was a little confused there.
Because he didn't work all day.
Is he in a different country? Oh, he's
No.
So it's an inside secret. So Kevin.
No, it's so inside that I don't even get it.
Oh.
It's
but you know why he's saying morning? No, or you don't?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I'm asking him. I'm saying he didn't work all day, so he might have slept all day.
Oh, maybe.
He had a party last night. I work with this guy.
Oh, okay.
So he might have party last night.
Oh, okay. So this is his morning. The nights of his morning.
So it could be.
Could be, yeah. He's one of them night owls.
I know.
Well, morning time to you, Kevin. Hey, look, it's,
So
you know.
Paul says, but go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, nope. Say what you got to say.
I used to, I used to say when I did my morning hat on Facebook that it was morning until my coffee was gone. I don't care if it was 2 p.m. if I still had coffee.
Yep, he's just getting up.
Morning.
I knew it.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh boy. Well, I didn't know, but I figured that might have been it. So Paul said that he dated this lady early in life, and he was the one falling. And 30 years later, the instant attraction he had from her was gone, and he knew it quick. What we want at one time is not the same years later. That's true.
Hence divorce.
Because we become different people. We grow. We change.
Right? So we do grow.
But that's due to more. That's like fact finding or due to more informational.
Of course. And
whatever.
People look. Paul, I haven't seen you in years. I've known Paul since we were little kids. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, I think Paul, if I'm not mistaken, he put a hammer, my hammer, him and one of my friends. That was you, Paul, right? That you hit one of our other friends in the head with a hammer when we were little kids, and it was my hammer. They were arguing, "Oh, it's my hammer, and they're fighting back and forth over the hammer. And I'm like, "Yep, that's my hammer, but this is good." So I sat back and watched, and Paul buried that hammer in my other friend's head. Bang!
Oh,
hit him. Yeah, I believe, right? I think that was you, Paul. Don't deny it. But anyway,
well, we'll find out. There's a delay, so we're
yeah. He's probably like, "Oh my goodness." I can't remember that. Yeah, you would have went to prison today for that. I mean, you know what I mean? Even little kids. Yeah. But it wasn't.
I'm going to tell you, some of the stuff we did when we were young and the time we
and everybody's alive and everybody's happy and,
I know. But,
Paul didn't,
lawn darts, people didn't live
yeah,
through that.
they didn't. Paul didn't need to go to prison as a little 5-year-old. It wasn't you. I could have sworn it was.
Now you're going to have to not now because we have things to do. But when you get off of this podcast, you'll have to decide who it really was. You'll have to think about it.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't Paul. Yeah, he's in denial, I think. No, maybe it wasn't Paul.
Because when I was very young, and started DJing at it was 16, 17 years old, I had to get in my car. I had to go out, and I had to pretty much to best my ability at that age, I had to sell myself to people who owned clubs and bars and whatever, try to get jobs. Mm-hmm. So it's real easy for me to go anywhere, just like you,
right?
And just talk to people.
Sure.
So I'm trying to grasp what it would be like to be like nervous or worried about that, because I don't.
I try to think like what it would be like, so I can help people that are shy or
I think it's like the dentist. I think it's like the longer you go, the worse it is because the more you dread it.
Of course.
I just think it's like that. Then when you go to the dentist, you're like, what the heck did I care? But this was like no big deal. You're out of there.
Yeah, you'll find that there are people that love the dentist because they go like once a week. You know what I mean? They constantly hit the dentist, and they're like, "I love the dentist." And
that's fine.
And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, good." And then there are people that are like,
I think like anything,
and it's like I haven't been for 15 years. Well, no wonder you're scared because you don't even know what it's like.
Well, you build it up.
Yeah, you do. Right. Yeah, I get that.
In my group, there was a girl recently who had surgery, and she was worried about, or she was coming. It was coming up. She had surgery coming up. So she came in and she was kind of like, "Hey, I have surgery coming up. Is there anything I should know? I'm really anxious about this. And she just put a post up that said, "Hey, here's an update. Surgery went fine. I'm chilling, whatever." And we all kind of knew that was going to be the way it was, because I don't know, if you don't know it or if you're not sure about it, you can I don't know, you can build it up in your head as like a much more dreadful experience than it turns out to be. So I think, I don't know. When somebody says I'm anxious about being out in public, I'm anxious about talking to people or going somewhere by myself.
Right.
My answer is like, well, what could possibly go wrong?
Right. I tell people here's what I recommend to people that are afraid to go out by themselves. Start with a movie. Go to a movie theater. right? So I used to have a problem with going out by myself. I'm not going to lie. I had a huge problem. I felt embarrassed walking in by myself. I don't know why, right? I mean,
I don't
yeah,
either.
I don't. I have no idea why, but I did. And so the way I overcame it is I went to a movie first by myself, which is a lot easier because I'm in the dark. I'm sitting there by myself. I'm watching a movie nobody to talk to anyway, right? Nobody's talking to each other. So I'm doing the same thing everybody else is doing, right?
Right.
Then I went out to eat. You know, and I started going out to eat by myself. I love sushi, and I have friends that do like it. But you know, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going out for sushi. Oh, I can meet you in an hour. And like, I'm hungry now. Peace. I go right there, right now.
Well, that's what you get, Dave, for that last minute stuff.
Yeah. Well,
That's my
I don't mind.
input
I
on that.
terribly don't mind. So
I know, but I'm just saying, you want them to really
Guess
show
what
up.
I had
You should maybe
today?
give them some notice.
that's what I had today. I
have no idea, Dave. What did you have today?
What do you think I had today? Think about what we always say we're going to
Don't
get.
make me guess. I hate you because you're supposed to come down here. I already know what this answer is.
No, you do.
You were supposed to come down here, and we're supposed to go. And please don't tell me you went where I thought
I
you
did
went.
not.
Okay,
Where did I-
that's where we need to
Oh,
go.
where-
We need to go pet emus. Or whatever,
yeah.
llamas.
No, I didn't. Okay, so I just had a lobster roll, but I did eat lobster.
Oh,
And-
that's not.
Well, no,
that's
it's
not
not
enough.
because I get my lobster roll with just on a toasted thing, but I
Right.
I dip it in butter. I don't put mayonnaise on my lobster roll. It's just
Okay.
chunks.
I don't.
of,
To me, it's kind of not the same
Oh,
as like
it's-
a lobster.
oh,
lobster,
it is though, because
Okay,
yeah, it was so good.
you bet, Dave.
It was delicious. I just want you to know that. Yeah, so do that. Go out by yourself and go to sit down somewhere to eat. And start like a place that is not such a big deal, right? Even
Right. I mean,
you
you could start with you could say, and I'm not saying you should go to the airport to do this, but when
Right.
you're traveling,
yeah,
I mean, it's just like no big deal for everybody to just sit down at a restaurant and grab something.
exactly. Because
Everybody's doing
by
that.
themselves. Everybody.
Not everybody, but a lot
Yeah,
of people
most-
are just
most
like it's
people.
like nobody.
Right.
Nobody finds it to be out of the ordinary, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
In the business world,
So in that
people are
environment,
traveling.
you're
They don't
just
know
like-
anybody. They go out to eat. They go down to the bar and they,
Yeah.
no problem.
They sit down, they go, "Hey, give me a hamburger
Yeah.
and some fries and whatever." So it's no big deal. So it's
Yep.
you have to kind of maybe take that and apply it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where I got over all that is when because I traveled a lot when I was with IBM, and prior to IBM, I traveled a ton, and of course I want to eat. So
And when you hate planes, I don't know how you
oh
did
God,
that.
I don't know how I did it either. Honestly, I had a prescription of Ativan for flying, and it said
Oh,
take
that's very
one.
bad.
Take as needed before flight. It's actually said on my. But then I said, listen, guys, I need to start driving if it's in the country because I can't keep taking these things. I mean, I'm popping these things like 2 times a day, flying here to flying there, and it got bad. So I was like, I don't want to keep doing that. Let's see. So
Christy, I get that.
I can
but
talk-
how do we break that down? Because we had that conversation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
First of all,
What-
I mean, if you talk to somebody who you're not interested in,
Hold on one second. I want to read it because for the podcast.
Sure.
So it says. Christy said, "I can talk to anyone that I'm not interested in or anyone who is not available. I talk to people everywhere. It's when it comes to someone who might have an interest." Okay, so go ahead.
So what I'm saying is flip it over. I always first flip it over and make sure your job is to make sure that somebody that you're talking to is somebody you want to be bothered with.
Yep.
And I don't mean that in a way where you have conceit or that you're like a snob about it,
Right.
but just like the dynamic in your head, you have to understand, that I don't think, and I personally don't believe anybody's looking down at you that way. I know that a lot of us are fairly self-conscious about stuff like that, but I don't think most people are. I think that's something we imagine. So you have to just look at it as a fact-finding mission. If you talk to people enough, Christy, and I don't know because you and I have talked, but like not a lot, so I don't really know the history of. But if you talk to people all the time and it's no big deal, it should be like an autopilot almost.
Mm-hmm.
So that you kind of, when you're talking to somebody that you are interested in, you could maybe put that aside pretty easily.
That's where this is. Okay, so Christy, you heard me talking earlier about when I meet somebody, I have no intention. So automatically you're setting yourself up for failure or getting scared because you're like, ooh, I find him interesting and I want to talk to him, so I'm interested. Now it's difficult for me to talk to him because you've set You've set
Well, what if he's not interested in me?
right.
But that's.
But see, if you go there
what
with
I call
no
that's outcome dependent. You're
yes,
right.
it's outcome dependent. So if you really have no intention and you truly can shut that off, and and you can, trust me, you can, because I do it. I do it all the time. I don't care how smoking hot somebody is. I approach them like they're the guy sitting next to me. It doesn't make a difference because we're all just people. And when you start realizing that, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to this guy. I'm going to go say hello. I'm just going to start a conversation about whatever it is, like you walk by and go, is that really an umbrella in your drink? Or whatever you say, whatever he's got going on, right?
And none of it, most big things you say are going to be, nobody's ever going to, I don't know.
They're not going to
I know
assume that you have an interest in them at all because you're just having a conversation. And if you decide, hey, I'm kind of interested, you keep the conversation going. And then if you may actually go up and go, yeah, this guy's a dingbat, I'm out. And you go, oh, well, I like your umbrella. Have a good day. See ya. And you leave. It just was a brief conversation. So when you say, Christy, I know, she said, I can't explain it. I do. I understand what you're saying, but this is what we're trying to get people to overcome is having that intention, right? Because when you have that intention,
I would say this.
It's scary.
And it depends on how people feel about it. For me, what made me change my mind about it, because it is a little more intimidating with somebody that you're actually interested in, right?
Yeah.
But, and I think, Christy, you were saying that you were working in the nightclubs or bars or something like that, or a hostess or something like that, where you just like kind of fall into your customer service thing. So you lean back on that. But what I learned the hard way, and it just happened to me recently. And I was working, but I'll tell you.
Do tell.
If you see somebody you like and you don't talk to them, you'll just like kick yourself for 3 weeks afterwards.
Of course.
So like it's better to actually find out that somebody's not interested back, and it's not even personal to you if they're not. Like, it's just not. Nothing you can do. You have to look at it and say, well, if somebody is talking to me that I'm not interested in, do I have a problem with them as a person? Right. Like, is it a bad thing? You can't help that, right? It's just something, either you're interested back or you're not, but it's not like it doesn't make you a bad person if somebody's not interested in you, doesn't make you less because of that. So you just say to yourself, well, I could like never find this out and then just like waste my time and have this rent space in my head for 3 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Or I could just find out in 30 seconds whether this person's interested in me or not. Well, whatever the case may be.
Paul says,
however to do
the problem is people worry about saying something dumb.
They can't. It doesn't.
Yeah. So
have you seen people in bars?
Have you seen me? I mean, I say the dumbest stuff all the time.
Dave's pretty dumb.
I love being dumb.
Just think of Dave when you go.
That's right. Think about, so what if I say, look, here's the thing. If something dumb comes out, of your mouth, it's, who cares? Mm-hmm. We all say dumb things on occasion, right? We're who we are.
You call yourself out and you go, wow, that was stupid.
Well, that was dumb.
You own it. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, that is like,
absolutely own it, because I'm proud.
Gotta throw yourself under the bus.
I'm proud of my dumb moments. I love my dumb moments.
Christy, yes, yes, I'm telling you, we're gonna do this thing in the group. Where's Joelle? Did I lose her? Is she still here? We're gonna do this thing because we're down to 7, so some people have left. What did we do? Joelle's still here. She just made a comment a minute ago.
Yep.
We're gonna do this thing once a week, maybe within our group, Joelle, or one of the groups, where everybody goes out by themselves, and while they're out, they check in and they go, "Hi, I'm out at such and such a place," and we don't all come bother you. I mean, of course, somebody can if they want to, but really, we're just documenting. Hey, I'm out at this place. I'm sitting here. Maybe you're going out. I always look at it like, what if you're a reviewer? What if you review restaurants for a living? Right. What if you review theaters for a living? What if it's your job and you make $75,000 a year to go out and sit and look at movie screeners all the time? Do you know how many people go out and do that and do reviews? Look at Siskel and Ebert. This is what they do. They just sit in theaters, watch movies.
With somebody.
Well, you know what I mean. Well, obviously not both of them anymore. But what I'm saying is, if it's your job to do it, then maybe you have a different attitude towards it. So like, that's the way I looked at it. Like, how many restaurant critics go out and eat food and send back reviews and don't think twice about whether somebody's sitting with them or not? Maybe they take people with them if they want. Yep. Maybe they don't, but it's their job and they do it and they don't think twice about it because they do it so much that it's no big deal. If you do anything enough that it's just second nature to you, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
Really, if you do anything enough, like, if you did autopsies for a living, I mean, how do you do that? Some people just do that.
Yeah.
They do autopsies all day long because I always come up with something like that. Like, that's like one of the worst jobs in the world. But if you do it like every day for 10 years, it's like you could probably do that and then go eat a sandwich and just not think anything of it because it's just, it's routine to you.
I mean, look, everybody is different, and that's the thing. Right. I mean, we drove by a place. A friend of mine was looking to rent a spot for his business. He wants to move, and we drove by another place, and he goes, "See that place right there? That used to be one of those places that did crime scene cleanups." And I'm like, I could never imagine doing that job. You know what I mean? Where horrific things have happened.
Did you ever see Sunshine Cleaning?
Yes, I did, and I don't know who can do that.
That was the first time I thought about that. I'm like, oh my, there's people doing
who does
this
that
all the
for
time.
a living. I mean, yeah.
Right. I mean, but no matter what the job is, whether it's third shift in a morgue,
right,
or whatever,
yeah, we're all different.
If it's your job, it's your job,
right?
And you have to you just separate it. I know it sounds really weird, but in your brain, you can just sort of separate the experience from who you are, and you just kind of do your thing, and then you go on with your day.
Exactly.
And I believe that talking to somebody that you're attracted to, obviously, when you have an income outcome, if you have an income, make sure you have a job. That's not my point. If you're outcome dependent and you're worried about how it's going to turn out, then that, to me, that's where the anxious stuff comes from.
Right.
To me, that's what causes the nervousness. Like,
yes, you really have to separate that.
Challenge yourself and talk to somebody and just say, I don't care how this goes.
Right. It doesn't
care.
make a difference, because really, if you don't go and talk to that person, then you know how it's going to go. It's going to go the same as if you talked to him and said something dumb.
It's the devil, right?
So
you don't. The success to me is in making conversation and in making connections. That's all it is.
That's all.
You can't control what anybody else does. You can't control what they're going to say. You can't control what they think.
Right.
I mean, none of that is really. It's just that's all their problem.
That's right. Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, maybe that sounds like I'm a bitch, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And if they think this of me or that of me, I don't care if they think of me. Like, this is somebody I don't know. I'm never going to see again.
Right. So yeah,
I say what I got to say, and if it goes somewhere, fine. If it doesn't, fine. But I made the move, and I walked across the room, or I made the approach, or I did my thing.
You don't regret it later, because there's been when I was younger, I was pretty shy, and the thing is that I think that one of my problems was, again, I was thinking about the outcome before it even happened. And that's when I started realizing the outcome doesn't really matter. All I have to do is talk to somebody, because I'm not a bad person. And I think that if I can have a conversation with somebody, and I used to say this all the time, if I could have a conversation with somebody, like verbally, they're going to realize and they're going to go, oh, he's a nice guy. And we're going to at least be friends. You know what I mean? I have no problem making friends.
I've even said to Dave, you can run into somebody somewhere, talk for 20 minutes, and like never talk to them again, and have a completely pleasant conversation.
That's right.
And everything's great, but you just go your separate ways, and it doesn't end up turning into anything. But who cares? You're communicating with other human beings. You're connecting with other human beings. Right? You're making social networking. You're interacting with others around you. You're interacting with your environment. So if it's something you want to do, and some people will not want to talk to you, that's their problem.
Well, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask a question. So,
I know.
Joelle?
No, we have to catch up with some comments.
Yeah,
too.
I'm going to do that right now. There was some talking about hiking and stuff, but Joelle said, you know what? I don't think I've ever gone out alone. I'm always meeting at least one person there. Let me ask you a question.
Well, then, Joelle, you've been...
Joelle, no. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody in the store? You've gone in stores by yourself, right? Have you ever had a conversation with somebody where you're standing in line and somebody just mentioned something? It's a very simple conversation. The guy goes, oh, sorry, I dropped my gum. Excuse me 1 second. You're like, oh, no problem. And then he might start talking about something else. That is a conversation starter. You are out by yourself.
Right.
So here's the thing. We're always out by ourselves, just so you know. 90% of the time we're out to go. I got to pull over, get gas. I got to go in and pay the guy. I'm out by myself. You're always out by yourself. You know, you're doing things by yourself every day. You bring your friends with you to work? Nope. You went there by yourself. You had an interview. You met somebody you never met
I got to address
before.
Kevin for a minute. And Kevin and I have like that. We're very, very similar in how he's like another INTJ, which is a whole other thing. So we don't like small talk. We really don't.
I'm not a fan of it either. So it stays.
It's
small talk briefly.
I tend to be one of those people that if you start talking to me, my brain starts to try to, and I'm not trying to be mean.
Right.
Everybody always thinks I'm being rude. I'm trying to find like the point of the conversation. Not because I think you're useless or whatever, but my brain is always trying to find like that bottom line of like, why is this person talking to me? Like, what is what's the bottom line?
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah,
here?
get to the point. Yeah.
So I have sometimes just been like, what can I, is there something you had a question on or like, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just sort of like, my brain will spin and I won't listen to you unless I understand that. But I don't like small talk. Yeah, small talk is like pulling your intestines out with a fork.
Right.
Yeah. But
I'm not a fan of what's up and the weather. Yeah.
I try very hard to, if I will try to do, I'll do small talk. I've always said, well, I'll do small talk if you pay me for it. Like, so if there's a job that I'm doing where I have to do small talk in order to get through the job.
Right.
I'm more likely to do that because it's part of the job.
Sure.
Like when I'm off the clock, I'm not necessarily interested in talking to people about the weather and all that kind of stuff. But I understand, to some degree, a little bit. You have to start somewhere.
You can't. Well, look. Here's the thing, and I get it. And who said that? Kevin. So, and I get it, Kevin. I've known Lena for a while, and I know that there are certain types of people that don't. And I'm not a big fan of small talk myself, like at all. However, I think when you first approach somebody, you can't approach them with a big, deep thing. It just doesn't work because. I would be even
could approach
me,
me with a fact. Like, did you know that?
Well,
I would love it.
I get it. Yeah, and I use real random facts all the time to start conversation, all the time, because that's a wonderful. Because you know me, I love random, just facts that nobody should even know, and I love those things. And in fact, I have a thing that I get in my inbox every day. It's a fact of the day that's just so random. It's like, but I love them. And so, yeah, I like that too. But generally, you begin a conversation light. And I won't say small talk, really.
Well, I mean, we're not. We don't really need to talk.
If I go
Kevin
by and I say to somebody,
weird,
if there's a well, look, you and I, our first conversation, and again, this is in one of our podcasts called Meet Lena and Dave. We met for coffee the first time ever. And we jump right into topics. We talk just like we're talking now.
Yeah, but you, Paul, have you heard our podcast? It is not small talk by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, sure not. No, absolutely not. No.
I mean, other than to bring up the podcast,
this is probably
conversation outside of the podcast, maybe. But even that's not
right.
trivial.
Yeah, this is probably more small talk than we've had in one of our podcasts because we're live on Facebook, so we're actually communicating with other people too. Let's see. Yeah, that's not a. So she said in college before I went out, I would make my friend Elizabeth have a topic of conversation to help her talk to new people, and that's definitely not a bad idea. But I'm. And Lena will tell you, and you'll hear us talk about it so much. I don't like to take notes. I don't even like to know what I'm going to talk about next.
You're a mess.
Because I love. No, I'm not a mess.
You're a mess to me.
I love it.
I could never do it your way.
Well, right. I could never do it your way. I love spontaneity, right? I love to be able to wing something, and because to me, it's like, it's exciting,
not really.
Right?
It's
so I look forward to
me,
that.
Not in the
like,
way that
right. I love it so much so conversation to me can be, it doesn't make a difference. I'll look around, I'll find something, there's going to be a topic, right? I don't necessarily have to. And you know what? Maybe it's a blessing for me.
Do you know some of us have the brains that are wired like that, though, where it isn't easy? And don't get me wrong, because of the fact that I've been in the business for years and years and years, I can walk up to somebody and talk to them about anything because it's my job.
Of course.
So I understand it, not knowing what to say. But I always say, like, there should be something, environmental. There should be something common going on. Like, hey, we're in the same coffee shop. have you had this coffee? Oh, I haven't had it. I just saw it on the menu. I thought I'd ask.
Right.
Or, you know, I mean, the weather is okay. Yeah, I know. Kevin's like, I don't want to talk about the weather. And I don't either. Because for us, we don't want to talk about anything that doesn't matter to us. Like, hey, what's your favorite color? I mean, to us, it's just like completely stupid and trivial, and we don't know what that has to do with anything.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, even with music. That, like, you know, what kind of music do you like? Who cares? I get in my car, you get in your car, we listen.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're talking to somebody out in public, you can use common topic of where you are. If you're both in a bank, you can talk about something having to do with that. If you're both
Sure, something
right,
at the bank.
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so
whatever.
it could be the location of the
Right.
bank. It could be
That's still a form of
it
small.
is, but
that's
it's
still
at least
form of
a little
small
more
talk, right?
localized.
But it's not right. It's not the weather. Like when somebody goes, "Oh, it's a beautiful day," I almost want to go, "Yeah, I know. I'm here. I'm
I know.
here. Hello.
Thanks for
see
telling.
it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God, I didn't realize. Thanks. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get the
That's
weather
annoying.
thing. Like it, and that's a big thing. You'd be surprised how many people
Yeah.
approach me. Oh, great day we're having, huh?
Pleasantries. It's called
yeah, fucking
pleasantries
fabulous.
and
I
platitudes.
get it. Pleasantries. Oh, yeah, I know. I've seen the movies where the pleasantries.
Well, it's
and
not a movie, but I'm
platitudes.
saying those are well, at least not that I know of.
It was something. It was in. Yeah, it was in. I forget what is it. One of the movies that they were teaching this woman how to have
Oh,
pleasant.
I don't know.
And that's exactly
Maybe
what they
that's
said.
a movie that I
Yeah.
haven't seen
Was
yet.
it
Ooh, wow.
Fried green tomatoes
No,
or something.
I don't
that
think so,
shouldn't
but-
even watched.
But at the end of the day, like there are people who, if you're down south, I was in Atlanta for a couple of years, and you get that. I don't know how many people will talk to
Yeah.
you in Atlanta if you're from the Northeast, where you're like not used to people talking to you, and you get down there and everybody's talking to you. It takes you like about a month to be like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
like are you
Yeah.
talking to me? You know, like you have to actually start. Yes, and
Everybody
so-
too. Yeah, when I was in Georgia, I noticed every single person. I could be standing in line waiting for something, and somebody walk by. They'll talk to me, and then somebody else talk to me, and I'm like, "What? Everybody's
Yes.
going to talk to me,
Yes.
like everybody." You're right. It's
Yeah.
so different here, and especially in New England. You know, we're like, you know, it's funny because you can say hi to somebody, and they'll just like look at you and just walk by.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
I mean,
like, wow,
I don't
That's-
know.
you know,
They
don't
don't have to,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's.
I know.
I don't know. It's just a regional thing. It's just the way we are as people. I was working in I've worked in several nightclubs. I was working in one time where a guy came up to me. I was DJing a club, and he said to me, he was from Boston, which I thought was funny, and he's like, "Oh, maybe Boston's got a lot of transplants, so maybe that's what it was." And he's like,
True.
"Are the women here all just like really rude, or is it me?" And I'm like, which I thought was weird.
Oh yeah,
that he
he's
asked
not from
me that,
Boston.
of all people.
Yeah, he's not from Boston.
No, I was like, and I'm like, where are you from? And he's like, I'm from Boston. And I'm like, I think we're probably friendlier than Boston. Are you sure? Like, where in
Yeah.
Boston are you from? I couldn't figure it. Was just kind of funny. Yeah. And I was just like,
Christy said, "We're jerks." You can say.
yeah,
it.
I mean,
yeah.
and that's,
So
we're used to it.
we're sarcastic. So even when I was out in Los Angeles, there were people that said that I was mean, and I'm like, mean. I'm like, mean? How am I mean? And I go, what makes me mean? Like, and that's exactly how I said it. And they go, well, you're always yelling. I go, when do I ever yell? And they're like, you're yelling now. I'm like, oh
the
God.
way you talk.
So my accent is offending. Yeah.
Well, there should have been enough movies
okay.
that have come out of Boston now that people have gotten over that, I hope.
Oh God. Yeah.
You know,
I was
think after
doing
The
a
Departed, I
presentation
don't
in
think
Germany.
we should all be off the hook.
I know we're off the hook, right? But I was doing a presentation in Germany, and one of the guy raises his hand, and he goes, "Are you from Boston?" I go, "Oh my God, you like recognize Boston all the way in Germany?" I would think you might be like, "You're from the United States," or nope, you're from Boston.
know.
Yeah, you've seen the movies. Those movies kill me because now
If you're from
everybody
Rhode
knows I'm
Island,
from
the only
Boston.
thing you hear everywhere you go is, "Are you from Long
New
Island?"
York.
And you have to
Yep.
go, no, I'm from Rhode Island. And then
A
you have to get
different
into this
island.
thing, where
I'm
is
from
it? And
Rhode
you like
Island.
have to pull a map out, and you just get like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I think there was a little bit of time during the SNL scandal and some stuff like that where we actually became like a state that people recognize. But so Denise is like, I always start with, "Hey, are you from here originally?" Works every time. Great starter in my experience. I mean, it depends. You know, I mean,
Especially, well, so Denise is now in Arizona, and she's from
right.
New England originally. So, yeah, so the thing is that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're in an area where there are a lot of people from all
Right.
over. Like,
Atlanta
for example,
was like
I go
that.
to Salem, yeah, exactly. So, like being in Salem last night, that would be a question I could ask anybody in there, and it wouldn't be weird. Like,
Right.
you know, I mean, granted, if I'm in like up the street at the local hangout, I'd be like, "Oh, you from here?" They'd probably be like, "Yeah, duh, we're all from here." You know,
I know,
but
but yeah.
in a situation like being in Salem or something like that, there are people from all over the world that come to Salem, right? Salem, Mass, especially around Halloween time, and it's starting
know it
already.
is. I
By the
know.
way, it's starting early this year. So yeah.
I actually like Halloween,
was
and so
fun
I get
last
aggravated because I don't like it to be drawn out too long and it get like old. That's why I don't like it to start so early, because
Right.
it just
Yeah.
that's what drives
Well,
me crazy.
people start coming to Salem early. I think it's just because they realize that trying to come to Salem,
Yeah, and Halloween
Mass,
is
Salem,
a
Mass,
nightmare.
in the Halloween month in October, it's impossible. You won't find a place to rent. You know, no
Right.
hotels available, nothing, unless you're way outside. You got to go to Danvers or something.
Well,
and
I
that's
mean,
pretty
yeah, for
far.
people who've
Not
been there, it
very
makes
far,
sense.
but yeah, so they start coming earlier, and they're already starting to come earlier. I mean, it was Sunday last night, and it was packed at the place I was at. It was very busy. Yeah, I went to O'Neill's in Salem, and it was very busy. Loved it. But it's been ages. I haven't been there in 5 years, actually. So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, do you? I'm trying to figure out if for somebody that obviously the thing is, if you're not used to going out by yourself, then you need the really only thing you can do is just go. It's really go. So
Right.
maybe it's somewhere in your neighborhood. Maybe that's the best place to start. Maybe it is going to a movie theater. Maybe that's the best thing to do. But like if you go to the gym, you go to the gym by yourself. So I thought about that when you said that.
Yeah, most people do. Yeah.
So I think it's if you feel like
We go to plenty of
maybe
places
if it's
by
if you feel
ourselves.
like you need to do something, like you're going somewhere because you have a specific thing that you need to do. Like if you go to the gym, you go to work out. So if you have a purpose, maybe when people have a purpose, they feel like it makes more sense.
Okay, so here's a good one.
Right?
So how do people transition from that early chatting to the next step, assuming they have no interaction with that person more than just that night? Yes, I'll be the person to keep you two on topic.
Joelle. Well,
So-
Joelle has listened to our podcast, and if she has, then she should know the answer to this question. Are you asking us a question you already know the answer to? Is this a rhetorical that you're doing with us? Because if you walk up to somebody and you're talking to them, and I'm going to go with the woman side of it because that's the only thing I know.
Sure.
I go up to Dave. I'm talking to him. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to walk by. I'm going to stop, make a comment. We're going to chat a little bit. And then I'm going to feel Dave out based on my experience in talking to other human beings because, I've done this already and I've kind of got a little bit under my belt. Right? Let's say that that's something, if I did my homework, I would have done that first. And so, I'm going to, if I like Dave and I want to go on talking to him, I'm going to, I'm going to make sure that I kind of laugh and smile and flirt a little bit while I'm talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then make sure that he knows that I'm interested because, again, I don't know how many guys I know that I can talk to and flirt with for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes and walk away and they'll have no clue that I had any interest.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but men seem to just have a problem with understanding that right away. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yep.
I
and
think
there's a
this.
reason for it today.
Well, I'll
Continue,
tell you what
and
I think it
then
is.
I'll tell you. Yep. Go ahead.
Well, there's probably something that you brought up something, I think, in the podcast, but
Right.
I believe that if you are interested in somebody, you tend to think like Christy does. Oh, they're never going to like me back. There's something going on where it actually blocks you from gathering the information you need from the conversation.
Right.
Whether it's like a self-consciousness.
Yep.
So anything that they do, you're looking for some sign to bow out of the conversation because you're trying to save face. And I'm not saying that you want to get out of it, but you're looking to make sure that you're not extending yourself.
Well, that's
If you're interested in somebody and they're talking to you and you like them, you're trying to make sure that you don't, you're basically trying to make sure you don't make a fool of yourself by like doing too much by trying to read the conversation.
Right.
To find out if that person's interested back.
Right.
So maybe your brain is saying, well, this girl's not really interested in you. She must really want to know where that bathroom is. Or if this girl's not really interested in you,
Right.
she must just really want to know what she's asking. because you're trying to make sure that, you know, like you don't make an ass out of yourself. So I think you have to verbally say something. The assumption question is great, which we've discussed.
Right.
Like, hey, you know, you're a good looking guy. I'm surprised your girlfriend lets you come out here. Something like that.
Something.
Or whatever.
You're letting him know.
Something where he has to actually say to you, oh, no, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm single.
Yep.
Without actually asking the guy out, without actually telling him you're interested.
Correct.
That shows attraction.
Yes.
That shows attention.
Yep.
And it gives him the actual clear signal that you're interested.
And you need to be very clear with most men are not very good at reading a situation, because you got to remember that over the years, a lot has changed in dating.
But this was before that, Dave. This was before that.
Yeah, it was.
Like, I've had guys tell me 20 years ago that they would just, I don't have any idea. A girl could flirt with me all night.
Correct. Guys are not good.
I've heard that forever.
Guys are not good at reading something, because here's what we're always told: just because somebody's friendly does not mean they're flirting, right? And you know, it's something that was drummed into our heads growing up as kids, even, because we didn't want to overstep our boundaries, because that would be a no-no. Especially today, it's even worse today, right? You don't overstep your boundaries, because, you know, there's a lot of movements going on that will get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Even so, we're a little more careful.
No, I like that, because it's thinning the herd out, which I enjoy.
It really is.
I like that.
It really is,
because the guys that know what they're doing and are doing the right
thing.
Those are
I'm not going to be afraid to talk to somebody, and I'm pretty good at reading whether or not, you know. And if I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've taken somebody's kindness and said, oh, she likes me because she's talking to me. That's silly to me. When she's flirting, it's blatantly.
I have heard that.
It's blatant. I will flirt. I've heard
it's funny.
It a lot
I think
too.
I've heard that from guys that I think they've almost been backwards about it and thought somebody was interested in them that wasn't.
Correct. That's what I mean. Yes.
And almost did the opposite with somebody that was and didn't catch it.
Right.
I don't know what that's about, but I've actually seen that, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, I have too. I've seen guys that go, oh, I think she likes me. And I go, what makes you think that? You know, she's having the same conversation with 15 different guys, and she's the same way to all those. So it's about reading the person too. I mean, some people suck at it and some people are better at it. I tend to, you know, just let, I tend to let the conversation grow organically, right? And it'll happen. You know, you're having a conversation, then all of a sudden you're flirting, and then next thing you know, you're kind of moving away from everybody else and kind of getting your own little spot so you can sit down and talk. That's all stuff that happens naturally. It's going to happen if it's supposed to happen. If it doesn't happen, that's okay too. I've made a lot of great friends that I initially approached because I found them attractive from across the room, and I approached them to see if maybe there was something else there. Well, there was a friendship. And that's okay too. A lot of people go with the intention of, ooh, I want to date that girl, or I want to date that guy. And they approach them and they go, yep, not going to date him. See ya. And then that's it. And it drives me nuts, because I have so many great friends because initially I was attracted to them. So a lot of people say to me, why are all your female friends so pretty? Well, because I met them because they were pretty. You know,
I had a friend who met a guy. I think she met him online. This is a while back. And so and she, as soon as I say what she did, she'll know who I'm talking about if she's listening. She went to the guy's house, not knowing him very well, and got a couple lectures for me out of that. But you know who you are. Went over to his house. I think had lunch, maybe, you know, whatever. It was like one of those things. And when she decided that she wasn't interested in, you know, seeing him again, I think she said, we'll see, or I don't know. She didn't say anything. She wasn't, when he asked, hey, let's get together again, or something like that, when they were going their separate ways, she said something that he thought was a no. And when she was on her way there, it was like, hey, let me make sure I know, you know how to get to my house, and I'll show you, you know, give you the directions. He was all nice. He was really, really sweet all through the whole thing. But as soon as she said, well, I'm not really sure, he's like, oh, I know what that means. And when she said, hey, how do I get back home? He said, you'll figure it out. And like, didn't care, like walked away. And she called me up and she's like, can't believe he would like turn around and just like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is how they are. If it's not going to go anywhere for them, they got no use for it.
Yeah, which is
and
insane.
it's like a switch.
So Joelle said, okay, how about this? Well, she said two things, Lena, and I hear it all the time in What? Theory from
Just
women?
because I'm nice doesn't mean I'm flirting.
That's correct.
And
So,
that's
right.
That's fair.
That's fair. It is absolutely fair. And, you know, there's a difference between being nice and so I'm very flirty and I flirt with everybody. I flirt with older people. I have a flirtatious nature. So if I'm flirting, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that I'm interested in that person. It means I'm flirting. So, you know, I'm enjoying my life. That's all. So, and then she wrote, okay, how about this? Do you think more people need to go out and just make friends rather than going out with the intention of finding someone to date? And my answer is 100% absolutely, because here's the thing. I believe, and I don't, and Lena will tell you, and if you listen to our podcast, you probably heard me say it a million times, I don't go on dates. I go out and hang out with somebody as a friend, and we'll see what happens. Let it grow organically, because you got to start as friends anyway. I don't get it. It's like, okay, I find you attractive. You're attractive. We got some things in common. We've had a few phone calls. Now let's go on a date. And then at the end of the date, do we kiss or don't we kiss? Stupid. It doesn't even make sense the way that this has been designed. I'll
take it one step further and say, I think that if you go out, you should go out because you wanted to go out and you want to enjoy the place you're going. And if you meet people, that's great. If they turn out to be friends, then that's great.
That's good too.
That's great. All of it. Anything should be
like
whatever. So you should be just content and happy with whatever that it all, as long as you went out and you had the experience.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want to go out because this band's playing and I like what they like. I like what they play. And,
well, and it's in good company too, right? If you meet somebody and you go out and you hang out with them and they become good. I mean, look, me and Lena went out. It wasn't a date. We went. I said, anybody in the area want to meet for coffee? She said, yeah, I will. And I go, oh, great. The one that hates the men are going to come out, you know. And if you,
I don't know what. He thought I hated men.
I didn't know she was an INTJ, but I learned quickly. I used to date one, and it did not work out well for me because I'm more of an affectionate type of guy. And
we don't work out well for people. It doesn't go well with us. Well, you just have to be really, really. You have to have like a lot of fortitude to deal with us, I think.
Correct, and which I do. I mean, you're one of my best friends. I love you to death, and I have to fight off not hugging her when I see her, and sometimes she has to fight off hugging me when I see her.
Sometimes people hug me, and I'm just like, okay.
Yep. When we first started hanging around, I used to force her to hug me all the time. It was wonderful. She'd be like, ugh. And I'm like, I love it. I'm like, I will break you. And of course I won't. You know?
We are affectionate, Sarah, but we have a little circle of people.
Yes.
And I think we have this weird thing where we're like, if you have everything you need, then you don't want for something. So if somebody's not trying to grab us and hug us, we actually are pretty affectionate with people that don't follow us around and try to grab.
Correct.
If they're, we'll actually reach out and be that way.
Yeah.
Know.
I know. I've seen you affectionate, even towards our friendship. You're affectionate.
Right.
You're thoughtful. You're affectionate. However, it takes a bit to get there, right? So, I get that. I totally get that, and that's okay.
We're the slow screen. Hey, this is an internet. Here's another analogy. An
analogy.
I actually read this somewhere. We're like that slow screen that comes up when you're trying to pull a browser to look at something. We load slower, but when we finally do load, we're actually worth the wait. But most people are like, what's wrong with this screen? Click.
Yeah,
that's our life. That is our life.
Yep. That's a good analogy. That's a really good one.
People have like about 10 seconds of patience with us and go, you know what? This is obviously not going anywhere. See you later. And when we date, and I don't know, Sarah, if you can, I'm sure you can because we've had these conversations in the group. This is how we are, where if somebody's used to women or men, whatever, being a certain way after dating so many and then meet us, whether male or female, we happen to be, it just takes us we're just a lot slower to warm up. It doesn't mean we're not going to.
Right. Yep.
It doesn't mean we don't like you, but it's just, we need a lot longer. It's a very, very, very good bond if you let it grow with us, but it's not going to be in 2 seconds.
Yep. And you're absolutely right. And
so, you know what I mean? And so,
look,
and
you
most
and I have been friends for
they bow
years.
out. They're like,
and Lena is one of my closest friends. We're going to be friends forever. There's no question. And when I first met her,
one of us is going to bury the other one.
That'll happen.
I love that dark humor.
You know, yeah. I'm going to bury you because I'm living forever. No, I'm not. I'm definitely
Good,
not.
because I didn't know who was going to bury me, and now I know. I feel
good.
better.
No, I took on that responsibility.
Yep.
Shit. So, so when we, like, a lot of you, if you've listened to our podcast, when we first met, we literally went for coffee. I forced it on her that I paid for the coffee because I invited her and she did not want me to. So we've had that topic as well. Should a man pay? Blah, blah, blah. So we've had that conversation as well. But we also ended up talking for 4 hours that day. We sat in the car. We closed that place. I think they closed.
One of those days too, where
and
I
we
just
would
had like a
we just
free day. Yep.
We just topic conversation. And we've been talking almost. And then we had a conversation on the phone. I think one time, not once, many times. Would be talking on the phone and be like, "We've been on the phone for 8 hours." I mean,
yeah, we did that.
There was no question we needed to do a podcast.
We don't do that anymore, though. The podcast got rid of that.
No, not the podcast.
We just redirected it.
Out. Yeah, we just do it. But it's still a conversation, right?
Maybe we need to put a conversation a weekend just to keep the podcast short.
That conversation a week is going to be, because we got to record it. I mean, that's just the problem.
I can't talk to Dave anymore personally because he's just like, oh, I don't want to talk to you about this because we just need to record it.
I know.
Like, just can't talk to him anymore as a person.
No.
It's all professional now.
No, we can have a conversation.
Well, you know what I mean. It's a joke.
Here's what's going to happen, right? So she keeps saying, you got to come down to Rhode Island and visit. And I haven't visited in a while, and I will come down. But the problem is we're going to come down and we're going to have topic conversation. I'm going to be like, we need a record button because this stuff is good.
We could be in the same room and get it done.
We could. Yeah.
I think you should be down next weekend, but we'll get off of this and talk about that later.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? I just totally took myself off topic. Oh, like everybody's different about how they bond and how quickly they become attached to people.
Of course.
I'm not just INTJ. I have several other issues that cause monkey wrenches in my life. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of many roadblocks for me. I know what they are.
Yep.
I know what they are. I can tell you what they are, but you have to, if you're getting to know me and you want to hang around, and you just have to have patience with me. I do eliminate a lot of people because they just at some point they just flip out and start pushing. They just start pushing, and I'm like, okay, now and the more you push me, the worse it is. And as a dismissive avoidant, I can be triggered easily by somebody who's trying to say, well, you're not getting attached to me quickly enough.
Yeah, that's
people
insane
have said to me.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I mean, look,
it is, but it does happen. Some people are just like, well,
some people want to move really fast, and
why?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, the last relationship I was in, I was with somebody for a year, and it was growing, and then it stopped growing, and I was like, this is not going to grow anymore, and I'm going to go home. I love you. We're best friends. You'll always be my best friend, but I'm going home. I'm leaving, and we're done. With this part of the relationship, but we're friends. We're still friends today, because we grew it to a certain point, and I'm not going to get into the analogy because my
people
analogy.
Want what they want. I know. No, you want to.
Okay.
You want to talk about oranges and tomatoes.
I do. So, but everybody's already heard it a million times. If you've listened to our podcast, you know what I'm about to say. When you build a relationship, and it kind of fits what we were talking about earlier, when you meet somebody without the intention of anything, you're planting a seed and you don't know what it's going to grow. You hope it grows a great, beautiful orange tree. That is the ultimate relationship, right? The monogamous, romantic relationship, husband, wife, whatever. There's your beautiful tree. However, a lot of times we'll plant that seed and it starts growing and you nurture it and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then boom, all of a sudden it's tomatoes and you get a bunch of great tomato plants, right? You're not going to try to force that to be an orange tree because as soon as you try to do that, you kill the tomatoes that you grew. And that's a shame because a tomato plant is a wonderful thing. Me and Lena have a great tomato plant. I have great tomato plants all over the place. I don't have an orange tree. I just have to go to Stop and Shop and buy some oranges. That's all. But the thing is that
orange tree, Dave.
What?
Have an orange tree.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't, and that's okay.
I know. I'm just messing. Yeah. I know. I'm always like me being the realist, and somebody will post something like, "Oh, someday you'll meet there," and I always put like, "Or you won't."
Oh, you won't. Yeah,
you won't.
You may not. You okay with that? And
yeah, you have to be. I think you should be okay with that.
You should be.
You can't be happy in life if you. And I know that there are people who believe that there's somebody out there for them and they want to find somebody. And I'm not saying that you should give up on that or
right.
You could be negative about that.
No. I hope I find somebody to spend the rest of my life with. Somebody to grow
wanting
up with.
What you want, right? And this is Dave and I go on and on about this all the time. So we have specific things that we want, and we're not going to settle for less than we want.
No, I'm not.
Obviously, somebody could come along and say they're not going to settle for less than they want, and we are that thing for them.
Yeah.
So it's both ways.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, to settle for less, to say, you have to be comfortable with yourself and happy with yourself. And if you never find what you want, you have to be content with that.
That's right.
And honestly, there are people who will tell you, well, hey, I was like trying to find somebody for 3 years. And then all of a sudden I decided I wanted to be okay with myself. And I went off and found friends and I had fun. And I don't know how many of those people get involved within 7 days.
Here's the
of
thing.
Making that decision.
You
as
hear
soon
it.
As they made
I
it.
know, right? And that's true too. When you're comfortable and you feel like
you
so
draw that, you attract the right people.
I know you do. So when the last person I dated was 2 years ago, and we dated for a year, and I don't count that. It was we didn't live together or anything, so it was dating really. And I loved her. There was no question. But the thing is that when we met, I was completely satisfied and happily single. And what I mean by happily single is I learned that I'm not alone. I have friends. I have family. I have female friends that I can hang with, and
you have hobbies.
Have the romantic
have projects. You
have the romantic thing. I do. I have work. I have hobbies. I have a lot to do. I can keep myself busy and happy. And then, is it great to bring somebody else into that? Absolutely. Do they fit? Yes. Do they continue to fit? Do they continue to grow as I'm growing? Nope. Okay. Great friend. That's where that ends. And that's okay. And
afraid of being alone, Christy. That is the reason.
But we're not alone. That's the problem.
I understand. Well, I have a problem with the word alone. I have a problem with the word alone, and I will always say that. You are never alone unless, you're in solitary confinement somewhere, or you're on the top of a mountain by yourself in a cabin with barbed wire around you looking at helicopters. You're not really alone ever. You always have people around you, community,
correct,
co-workers, family, friends.
And Kevin says it well, too. A lot of people settle because they want to fit into the societal norm. Okay.
Right. You have to question what societal norm
You'll know, Kevin,
is.
you listen to our podcast,
Kevin
you'll
knows.
find...
I mean, Kevin's like me, so...
Yeah, you'll find that I'm not a big believer in the societal norms, right? At all. Right. Not at all. I mean, here, I'm actually, if you look, I'm actually sitting in an RV, right? This is a coach that I'm sitting in, right?
I thought you were going to tell me something I didn't know. I was like, you're sitting where, Dave?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I already
There's
knew
no
that.
secrets there. I don't believe in societal norms because that's not who defines you. What defines you is what you love in life, right? And I love doing what I do. I love my friends.
And I still think, Sarah, that if you don't have family or friends, you're still not alone. There's always people around you.
How do you not have family or friends?
Some people don't have family or friends. Some people have...
Have what? Just pets?
They have... Nope. Some people have family that is dysfunctional and they have had to cut them out.
That's different. But what about friends?
But it's true. They don't have family if that's the case.
True.
Family. Some people...
Okay.
Some people travel a lot. Some people are in places where they don't make a lot of friends. They're busy. They're whatever.
Well, they're too busy for a relationship too, then. I mean...
Well, we're not saying that those people want a relationship, but I'm saying... so Sarah, I mean, I get it because I've had, I haven't had the most harmonious family either.
I hear doggy is flapping.
That's my dog shaking his head.
Yep.
But yeah, you can have family that you prefer not to stay around because they're toxic for you. In your case, maybe that isn't happening, but for some people, that really is very true.
Okay, so I have a question, and I don't know if she's going to be able to answer.
Talk to Sarah. She'll tell you.
Well, so my question is actually for Christy, because she said she left someone who loved her because she's not afraid of being alone without a partner. I know that I'm worth more than that. Okay, so so you left somebody because, and I want to make sure I get this right. You left somebody because they just wanted to be with you because they wanted a partner, and they were afraid of being without a partner, rather, and they just weren't the right person for you, or I'm a little confused as what that means actually. So I'm questioning that, and then yeah. So, and Sarah, well, so why would a friend's harder to come by because you have a disconnect from your family?
She just answered that.
Oh, she did. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, yeah, of course. But the right people in your life, Sarah, will whether they're friends or not, right, will fit. And, excuse me, I have a cold, by the way, so that's why I keep coughing, not because I smoke cigarettes.
Dave.
I'm sorry.
Stop having a cold.
Yeah, judgment.
We're busy.
Well, listen, people that love you don't judge you. They love you unconditionally. I love my friends unconditionally. I didn't go into meeting Lena. Well, when I met her, she was Lana to me because she never corrected me.
And
but
I still can be. I don't really care.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Sometimes
I'm call you Frank from now on.
Okay.
So
it's my brother's name. Where's my brother? Is he here?
Is it? Maybe that's how I met you. He sent me.
You didn't.
Oh.
You didn't, but I have said that I thought that you and my brother probably know each other somehow.
That's a possibility. But so the thing is that when we met, I judged her based upon her online stuff because I didn't know her. But I'm also capable of saying, well, I don't really know her. I could be way off. And when I met her and talked to her, I was way off. But the thing is that, I believe that. And there are many, many people out there too. So I get that you guys have a tougher time, meeting people and connecting with people. But there are people out there that you will connect with. I mean, I have a very small circle of friends. My circle is very small, and I'm very social. I can go out right now, and I can get 20 people that will hang out with me. That doesn't mean that they're my friends. That means that they want to hang out because I'm social and maybe I'm fun or whatever. But that doesn't, I get it. So a real friend is going to be people that are around that know you, that you can share your craziness with, and they're cool with it, right? I don't care if you lost your family. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if your family's a bunch of dingbats and you had to cut them all off. That means that you're, to me, by listening to that, and Sarah, that means that, okay, she says unconditional love isn't a thing. I will disagree.
True.
Well,
I'll have to agree with that.
I will disagree with that 100% because, look, if you truly love somebody, it doesn't matter. I mean, okay, I guess unconditional love. Look, if you spit in my face all the time, eventually I'm not going to love you, right? But if you're being a human being and you have we all have our idiosyncrasies, right? We all have our issues. And my friends have their issues, right? I don't care. I love them unconditionally. Yeah. They can do anything. I mean, look, if they stop being murderers and stuff, well, I'm going to reconsider my friends, right?
Okay.
That's different. But that doesn't mean, it's not unconditional
on the condition
love.
that they're not murdering people. We want to stay friends with them.
Okay, so, right. No. What I mean.
We're very technical. Dave.
I
we're
understand.
very pragmatic.
Yes. So, okay. But you know what I'm talking about, the two of you, and probably multiple more of you
and
on here.
And Kevin, too.
And Kevin, too.
I'm sure he agrees.
Yes, I'm sure he does. But so the unconditional love that we're talking about is a thing. But yes, if you're really technical about it, actually, does love even exist? Because love is nothing but an emotion. It's only an emotion. It's only an emotion.
A lot of people would disagree with you and say that love is a verb.
Okay.
Or love is a noun. Or, you know what I mean? It's something you do, or it's something you know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily an emotion, but everybody feels different about that.
Well, it is an emotion, right? You feel love, right? You feel love. You don't just do love. I mean, that's sex to me. That's
a chemical reaction. It's a neurological con job, right, Sarah? That's what it is.
So, okay, so here's the thing. At the
is.
beginning, it is, absolutely. But those chemicals don't continue to remain, by the way, if you check, which I
Right.
have. When you're in love with somebody or you love somebody,
Context.
yes, it is. It's an actual emotion that you feel, right? It's something you feel, like sadness. I'm happy.
Dave's
I'm
a
sad.
feeler. Sarah, Dave is
I
an
am.
ESTP, so
Yeah.
let's go with that. Let's start there.
Yeah, which is, do you not make me feel bad about it, because I won't.
I'm not making
I
you
don't
feel
care
bad
how
about it. I
many
mean, you are who
hear.
you are, but Sarah,
right.
that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, of course.
It's the S. It's the censor. That's where he's at with
Yes,
that.
of course. So, and I believe that, right? And okay, so maybe it's
There's
different
nothing
for
why
me.
with that. I'm
No,
just saying that's
I
why your
agree.
translation is what it is.
Right. Yes. So my translation will be different than yours because we are different, and that's okay.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is that, so if you tell somebody you love them, do you?
If I tell somebody I love them, I have to, because believe me, I don't tell very many people very often.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So what happens when you love somebody? Do you just love them because you want to say it?
No.
So
Definitely not
why
me.
do you tell them that you love them?
For people that I'm very close with who hear it,
Yes.
it just means that I don't know. And you know what's funny? I know what it means, but I've never really
Right.
explained it.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's emotion.
What is it?
It
I'm
means
curious.
I care.
Yeah. Okay. So
I care.
now,
I don't want to see you in a ditch. I want to make sure
caring
you're
an emotion
okay.
as well.
No,
It's not.
caring is a verb. It is an action.
I get it's an action. It's something that you do, but you truly have to believe it and feel it to be able to care. If I'll give you an example, and I know I can do this with you because you are a strong
Joelle's
woman.
loving this.
Yes.
I'm a strong
So
woman. Here
you
we
are.
go.
You're strong, and here it is. So when her pup passed, I was there for that. Were you upset? You cried. You cried because you cared, and you are not a crier, okay? So just for the record, everybody. But it was something
And I
that
hated
hurt
every
you
minute of it. Yeah.
because you loved the dog, and that was an emotion. So your heart was broken, or whatever it is that we refer to the heart, but it's just because we
Right.
feel that pain in our chest. But whatever it is, that emotion of being that attached and feeling love was an emotion that causes the pain, right? And
I guess.
caring is a feeling that you have that caused the pain. It's not because you did an action, I care, so now let me cry. No, because if it was an action that you were doing, you would prevented that, because I know you would have prevented it.
I guess.
Yeah.
I would say it is. I'll go with what Sarah said and say that it's attachment related,
It is. It's
which is something I don't do very often.
right. Right.
But when I do, we don't attach.
I agree.
Easily.
No, I agree. No, you don't. I agree. I agree that it's an attachment too. And love is an attachment. It is, for sure. Right? Because when you love somebody, you want to be with that person or whatever you love.
Well, you have an unspoken bond, even if it's a
Yes.
distant bond.
Yes, of course.
So
Yeah.
you can love family members, like you love your daughter. You don't
Right.
see your daughter as much as you, but you guys have a
Yes,
an
absolutely.
attached bond, even at any
100%.
distance.
Yep.
So that's part of it, And so, and to some degree, to me, love is something that it's wanting something for them despite yourself. That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I think it's an emotion that
It trumps
triggers.
self-preservation to some degree.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think it does for everybody. Right.
Right.
Because when I love somebody, it does. You're right. It does trump self-preservation for sure. But I also, and the reason why I believe that it's an emotion is because there are certain things that come with it that we would prevent if we could, but we can't, because when we have that feeling or the emotion, it's not something that we're doing, because we could easily undo it if we were just doing it. Right? It's not, because
True, but
our brain starts to
wouldn't you say
function
that
different.
the origin of love, let's say if it was an emotion, would cause the action of love and would cause
It does. Yes.
the existence of love as a noun. So let's say that I could say that it's probably all kinds of things. I don't necessarily think it's one particular thing.
I think
so
this
could
would
say
be
that
a
it's
wonderful
like,
topic because I think we could go quite a while with this. And you know
Probably.
what? It's
And
something
you know,
that
yeah.
we don't, and I like it because it's not something that we completely agree upon, but I think we're on the same page. But I think we have, and I'd like to, this is something that I would actually dig a little for and find out what some of the science is behind it too. Because you know me, I do love the human brain.
I'm going to read Kevin's comment here.
Yes.
And I expect it to be very analytical, but I'm sure that it's going to. I knew it was going to point to his kids or his daughter. Sorry. Love is a very complicated thing, at least in my head. It is an emotion. The only people that really hear I love you out of me is my daughter and my mom. If hearing it from me, it means I have an attachment to that person. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Okay. So look at that. We didn't think Kevin would agree with that, and he does believe
I did
that
think Kevin would. Well, I think Kevin would agree with what I said, which is it's attachment based.
It is definitely. I agree. I agree. It's attachment based, but I think it's. I still think it's an emotion that we have because again, you feel.
Oh
it
yeah, he did
when
say an emotion.
Yeah, so you do feel it.
I'll have to concede.
Oh yeah. Oh, but I still think we should.
You all just saw me concede publicly.
No. Oh, that's a wonderful thing.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It isn't for me.
It's not. I know she's going to lose sleep over it. She's going to call me later. After we're done with this, she's going to call me and be like, I can't believe I did that. We're going to have to do a live on it because, a thing on it because I get to recant.
So forever ago, Sarah said something like, why don't we record all of our personal conversations and dropped clips into the podcast?
I saw
and
that.
I didn't get a chance to say anything at the time because we were into something else.
I'm going to.
Oh my God.
Wait. You tell me what you think my thoughts are on that, and I'll tell you what I think your thoughts are on that. You go first. Or do you want me to go
your
first?
thoughts on it are how much hard drive space do we have, and how much, how well that's me then I guess. I don't think I can project onto you.
The problem that I have now, who said that? I did see it.
That was Sarah.
So Sarah, the problem I have with that is I love the fact that our podcasts are really live and they're unedited. We do not edit. I know. I like
even
it.
For me to take it was all I could do just to take silent pauses out of this thing.
Right.
And him to be like, well, it's not really live.
Well, that's okay because sometimes we have a delay and we had to fix that, and that I understand.
Right.
But
so
like adding clips. Now, what we could do is we could make clips and use them for ad markers or something like that because we could do drops and stuff like that, and that's not a problem. I have no problem with that. But putting them into our podcast, you just use. I know what a snippet is. I struggle with that because I love the fact that we're not polished. You know what I mean? And we still flow. And to me, adding a
organized
snippet
as I can get it without completely editing it because I don't.
I struggle with that so bad, like taking the flow out of something. I'm also a musician, so to me, it's almost like having a song recorded and you play it from beginning to end, and then all of a sudden you cut it up and add stuff in the middle of it. It kind of loses the flow, and maybe that's why.
Musicians.
I'm stubborn. So,
yeah, he's yeah.
I am stubborn. And somebody said that I was a rarity, and I hear that from Lena all the time. And it's funny because I hear it from a lot of INTJs because I understand you guys. I mean, I'm not you at all, and I
no, you're not.
I'm definitely
not.
That's
pretty clear.
Yes, it's very clear. And but
I'm not kidding. It's true, but I'm not.
I don't.
Being
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with it. I get that there's different people that are emotionally different, and that's okay.
Bye, Christy. We'll talk later.
Christy, thanks for
I'm
stopping
sure
by.
Joelle will pull us into a big group and discuss all of this.
Yep. So, and we've been on now for, I don't know, touch the live and see what it says. You have to touch it on the phone. I can't. It doesn't work for me, but you will.
Oh boy, I don't. Where? I'm not
live.
used to doing live.
The thing that says live.
Oh, that thing. Okay.
Yeah, touch that and it'll turn into members.
Almost it's been 2 hours.
Okay, so guess what?
Dave's gonna bow out.
I'm not bowing out. I'm just, I think that we should probably at least end the podcast.
Okay.
If you want to continue the live, we can. Or actually, let's finish up the podcast, and then we'll say goodbye and stuff on the podcast.
You could turn off the recording and leave the podcast going.
I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it going. Yes,
okay.
we're just going to end it, and then because we may get snippets.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah, just look at everybody's on top of it. The INTJs knew how long it was.
Yeah, of course they did.
It's my crew.
Yep, they do. They know their stuff. All right, so
are you leaving, Joelle? Where are you going? Joelle's leaving. I don't know. Joelle wanted
next
this,
week.
so she needs to hang in there.
Oh no, she's wanting this. So we got to figure out a way to do this, and if we can figure a way to do our podcast live, we will, because I do enjoy
at least once in a while. I don't know if I want to do it every single week because it's a lot.
Yeah, because sometimes, I mean, you have no idea. Sometimes we do them early in the morning, and my hair's all over the place, and I just getting up, or I had work the night before, or I'm exhausted. Right. We did one the other night, and I'm like, that's gonna suck. I was so tired, and it turned out good. So
it did.
It did, but I had like a bad attitude towards it because I was so crumpy, tired. Yeah,
I know.
I'm just ensuring it happens again. So that's
I know. Joelle said to me she's always listening to our podcast and trying to talk to us while we're talking.
Oh God, I do the same thing.
She has stuff to say.
I do the same thing. I listen to the podcast, Joelle.
And it's
I listen to our yes, and I argue with myself on the podcast and go, why didn't I say that? I'll be sitting here. If I'm sitting here with somebody and they're listening to the podcast with me, because that happens quite frequently, and I'm like, I haven't listened to this one yet, and they're like, oh, me either, and so we listen to it together, and I pause it because I got shit to say. I'm like, what am I doing? Just I can't add the stuff in. It's
What's funny when I know myself so well that I know what I said during the podcast, obviously, but when I'm listening back, I can almost word for word say what I said.
Right.
Well, I've been listening to them for a while, and not because I'm into myself, but because I'm like, I want to know what it sounds like. I'm trying to hear it from the viewpoint of somebody who doesn't know either one of us or whatever. Right.
She said, yep. And I'm like, oh my God, why didn't they talk about this? I'm usually texting Lena and I'm listening. As I'm listening, yeah.
Yes, definitely, Kevin, calling myself out. But that's what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, honestly, I think that's what makes us, what's the word I'm looking for? It just makes us more relatable logical to other people.
Yeah, I think
not in the podcast. I mean, in general, just in company, in mixed company, we just will stop and call ourselves out first. That way, nobody else can do it.
That's right. And
I don't know what it does. It breaks the tension. It just changes the dynamic.
I think so. I call myself out all the time because I want to make sure that I know where I'm at in my life. It's called self-analyzation. We do it, and me and Lena talk about it all the time because we both have done it substantially through our lives. If something's going weird in my life, and I can tell you, one time Lena called me and she goes, "You need to talk me off a bridge because I'm thinking this. Am I out of my mind?" It's so funny because
and Dave went, "Yes,
you are. Why you are out of
No,
your
you
mind.
didn't actually.
No,
I think you tried to.
I did.
I think you. Yeah.
I did. I said, well, if this is how you feel.
Like, no, that's completely legitimate. And I was like, oh, that's.
It was because there was no bad thing going on, right? If there was, I would tell you, no, bad, run away, But I think I think more people should do that. I think more and more people should, call themselves out and say, why am I doing this? Why do I feel like this?
I think everybody should have somebody that they call that. And in my case, I happen to be pretty, like I said, pragmatic, pretty straight and narrow. So if I go off the rails, obviously I need to call somebody, and not necessarily somebody that's logical, but I think most people should find somebody that's grounded, that's a touchstone for them, that
I agree with that too. Yeah.
They can say, even if, we went over the whole thing with the Brain podcast, where you should probably find something that you can journal. And over a pattern of time, okay, well, today I thought this about this particular thing. Let me give it 2 days, and then let me journal on it again, just because.
Journaling will work for you, and it will work for me, and it will work for many, many others, but it won't work for some people because there are still people out there that are not honest with themselves. So they'll even lie in the journal. You see? I see it all the time, and I listen to people.
That's why I say, you could say whatever you want to us about your situation. But when we all go home, you know what it is. So it doesn't it doesn't matter. It's so crazy that somebody would try to convince everybody around them that something's happening when it isn't.
Right.
And none of us are affected by that thing.
Correct.
So you just want to say, well, this is a nice song and dance you got going on, but we're all going to go home and go to bed. And then when we all go home, you have to decide if this is something that you're the one who has to face yourself in the mirror.
But
I guess there are people who really do lie to themselves.
They do a lot. Why
that's
do you think,
crazy to me.
Why do you think that podcast did pretty well? Be honest with yourself and others, because there are people that are completely honest with other people, but they're not honest with themselves. And yeah. So somebody just tried to Facebook call me.
Yeah.
And I hope it didn't interfere. You guys can still hear me on the live.
Yep. I heard it ring, but
yeah. Okay.
That's the way it is. You just decline.
Well, I did.
But yeah, yes, right. You want to make sure Kevin's saying it's good to have a grounded and neutral person. The key with that is making sure that it's not a person who will feed you what you want to hear in that moment. So make sure they'll tell you, no, that's messed up. So you have to find somebody everybody should have somebody that just tells them it's like the tough love thing. Like, listen, I don't care how nuts you think I am. I want to hear the truth.
I tell all my friends I will not blow smoke up your ass to make you feel better. I promise I won't. And
I have friends that they won't call me anymore because I'm just like, look.
Right.
You know what I mean? Look, if you want somebody to tell you
it.
everything you want to hear, you're going to have to call somebody else because I can't even do it. I don't think I know how to do that.
There's a podcast that's very interesting. It's called Love and Life with Lena and Dave. And there's a topic called Fix It or Complain. And that's just truly, if you listen to that one, you'll know how that stuff irritates the hell out of me. It's like, nah, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what I see. I'm going to be honest about it, and I'm going to be brutally honest about it. If you want me to lie to you about stuff, I'm not your guy, and that's just
right.
That's just how I'll always be. Look, I'm not an ass. I don't go out and hurt people's feelings. But so I had this woman ask me once, and she was a friend of mine, and she's a big girl. She weighed 300 pounds. She said, "Do you think I'm fat?" And I go, "Why would you ask me that?" And she goes, "Well, do you think I'm fat?" And I go, "Do you have a mirror at home?" She goes, "Yeah." I go, "What do you think?" She goes, "I think I'm fat." And I go, "Well, there you go. Why are you asking me?
Yeah.
What does it matter what I think? And it's not what I think.
I just have to say, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm just
going to step on all over you like I normally do.
Well, we do it to each other.
I do not like fishing, and I don't understand fishing.
Nope.
I will never be a girlfriend that says, how do you think I look? Do I look fat in this outfit?
God.
Or,
setup.
Or I won't come up to you and be like, did I change something? Guess what it is?
Yeah, right.
I don't do that thing where people have to be careful how they answer, or they're gonna. It's like a trap. I don't understand.
It always feels like a trap, right? It's always I look at it as.
I know myself. If I don't like something about myself, I'll be able to figure it out without asking anybody else about it.
Yeah, and here's another thing.
If I like something,
if you beat around the bush with me, you're gonna lose. Because I'll know exactly what you and I'll play dumb because nope, you ain't getting it. Oh, can you? I wish I had blah blah blah. I'm like, me too. I wish I had that too. Oh, I wish it. And they keep beating around the bush, and I'm like, yeah, no.
So I don't know if I talked to you about this before, but there is a concept called askers and guessers.
Guessers.
That's an actual a psychological thing where there are some people who don't like to be direct and they ask. They guess.
Right.
And other people that are direct and ask. So
yep.
The story is there's a husband and wife. They're driving down a highway. They're going on some road trip, a couple of states over. They're on their way home. And the wife says to the husband, "Hey, can I, do you feel like, do you want anything to drink? Do you need anything to drink?" And the husband's like, "No, I'm good." And she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to stop for something to drink?" And he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm not thirsty."
Mm-hmm.
And she gets all upset.
Yep.
And they get to the end of the road, or they get to the next stop, and she's just all bent out of shape. And he's like, "What's the matter?" And she's just like, "I wanted to get a drink." And he's like, "You didn't say that. You said,
do you want to drink?"
If I wanted something to drink, and I didn't.
Nope. Don't beat around the bush.
And so she's the guesser and he's the asker.
Yep.
And so that's why fights start all the time, because you get two people that communicate in different ways like that.
It's one of the first things I say to people. Don't beat around the bush with me. If you got something to say, just say it. What am I going to get mad? Just ask me. Say it. You know, you'd be surprised what the answer is. Listen, when my wife was pregnant, it was 2:00 in the morning, and we're laying there and we're watching TV, and I'm half sleeping, and she goes, "Oh, I wish I had ice cream," and she goes, "I would never ask you to get me ice cream, but I would kill for ice cream right now." I go, "Do you want me to go get ice cream?" And she goes, "Would you go get me ice cream?" I go, "Yes, I will." Just, if you ask me to go get ice cream, it's not a big deal. I got to get up, throw on some clothes, go out, drive down the street and get ice cream. It take me 10 minutes. I'll live, you know.
Right.
It's like I'll do just about anything that somebody asks me to do. I'm a pretty easy guy, but don't beat around the bush, because that's what I'm not.
It's aggravating.
It frustrates me.
And here's another thing. Can I just say this? If I have plans with somebody, or I'm making plans, if I'm going to do something and I ask somebody I know, hey, do you want to go do this thing? For whatever reason, I'm trying to remember, hey, I'm going to go here and whatever. If for some reason I'm looking to see if somebody wants to go with me to something.
Yep.
Right? Which is very rare, but let's say it's a concert or whatever.
Sure.
And the person doesn't want to go.
Yep.
I do not want them to tell me they're going to go just because they think I want to hear that. I don't want them to tell me they're going to go, or not tell me anything. Like, let me let you know, and then just never say anything.
Right. Yep. It's so weird. I don't get that either.
If you don't want to do something, I'm not going to be mad at, like, if I ask you if you want to do something and you don't, tell me you don't. Like, I don't understand what's the big thing where, right?
Yep.
It's not because I'm not going to get my feelings hurt about it. It's more like I have a specific day and time of, there's things in my calendar that I need to get straight.
Right.
So if I just need to know what's happening on that day. If you're not going to be there, fine. If somebody else is going to be there, fine. If I'm going by myself, fine. But I just need to know so that I am a planner and a half.
Right.
And so I need to know what's going on in 4 days when I want to do this thing, how it's going to happen, how I'm getting there, what my day is going to look like. I got to get out of work at a certain time, whatever it is. All of that is factored into whatever I'm trying to do. So when somebody says, hey, sure, I'll go, and then like I don't hear anything else, I expect people to do what they say they're going to do. I don't know why I expect that from people.
Right.
I think there's something wrong with me for expecting people to tell me what they actually are going to do and not tell me what they're not going to do. I would imagine that say what you mean and mean what you say, which should be pretty, especially as an adult, should be a pretty solid foundation, but it just doesn't seem to be that way. I think a lot of people decide today, hey, that sounds like a good idea. And then like tomorrow afternoon, they're like, maybe not. And then they change their mind 15 times before the thing comes. I don't know. Not my problem. You tell me something,
right.
I assume.
Yep. And we've had this discussion before when somebody says, hey, I'll see you tomorrow at 6:00.
Yeah.
I don't need to call you 15 times tomorrow to remind you that
Well,
I'm
yeah, I don't
there.
confirm. I'm not a confirmer.
No. If it's there's two reasons why I would confirm.
Well, if it's business, I know.
If it's business, I will confirm because it's more of a polite thing to do. And also, I will confirm if it's been a long time. Like if we said
a year.
Well, not necessarily a year, but let's say we say, oh, on October 24th we should go to Salem, right?
Yeah, I
may call you and go, hey, the 24th is still good because that's a long time for somebody to forget, but tomorrow or the next day or whatever, we have plans. Or I'll say, I'll put it on my calendar.
I have friends that I have one girlfriend. We get together. We make plans to go to dinner, and we'll look at our calendars. And she'll be like, "Oh, hey, like right now, if I've talked to her, I'd say, hey, we know we haven't done dinner in a while. Oh, we need to go." So we'll look at our calendars, and she'll be like, "Well, I have like October 17th free, or I have November 3rd free," and I'll look and be like, "You know what? I do too. That's it." On November 3rd, we meet outside the restaurant, and that's it. I do not call her and confirm. She does not call me and confirm unless it's like, I thought I was going to be there at 6, but I'm hitting traffic.
Right. Of course.
Or
Yeah.
you know, oh, hey, I got to move it from the 3rd to another date because
Yep.
something's coming up that's important. That's different.
Yeah, you put
But
it.
if you're
If
gonna be there,
it's
like
on
you
your
said you were gonna
calendar,
be.
you'll be there. Yeah, if it's an event type of thing or whatever, and you're going to be there, you'll be there.
So
Yeah.
I don't care if people confirm. I don't get mad about it. But like
Right, of
I
course.
don't.
Yeah.
I got to tell you. Here's a funny story about a date. I made a date with. I met a guy. We hung out for a little bit. I think we went hiking once, and we talked a couple times on the phone. And we were going somewhere. We made plans to be somewhere, and I don't know. I do this a lot, and I forget. I guess like once in my head, I think it's happening. Like I guess I don't.
Right.
I just don't confirm. Like, so we were supposed to meet somewhere and go to a restaurant. We came up with a place and everything else. And I didn't say, I'll meet you there. I just was like, okay. And so I go there and like, he doesn't show up. And I'm like sitting there for a while. And then finally I called him and I'm like, hey, it was tonight that we were going to do this thing. And he's like, oh, I never heard from you. So I didn't go. And I'm like, what do you mean you heard from me? Now, don't get me wrong. It might have been a couple days before, but it wasn't like that long.
Right. Which.
But it was like,
That's
because I
sufficient
didn't
for
say,
me.
okay, I'll meet you there, which is like a 1-sentence thing. I thought I said it and I didn't.
Okay.
Completely, you know, no call. And hey, did my guy. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't his job to keep up after me and see what I'm doing. But he said to me, well, I didn't hear from you. And I'm like, what do you mean hear from me? For what? Why
Right.
will you be hearing from me when we already made plans to do this thing, even if it's 2 or 3 days?
Right.
Most people, I guess, expect like a ton of confirmations, and I'm like,
No, yeah, it's not necessary.
I-
It's like we made plans, I think, to meet when we did our first live together. It was at the park, remember, in my car.
Yeah.
And I used to do live there all the time. And I said, you know, do you want to meet tomorrow at this time? And you said, yeah. And I'm sitting there in my car at that time. I got there, and there you are. You know,
yeah, like I just don't.
yeah.
You'll hear from me.
It wasn't.
It's always
wasn't-
going to be
I
like
was
that.
not
You'll hear from me.
shocked. I wasn't shocked because that's what we said we were going to do.
I know,
right?
like, but it
So
right.
why
So
is it
for
different the
somebody
other way
to say to
around to
me-
not show up because, well, I didn't hear from you. No,
And I'm like, what was it? What were you supposed to hear? Like, what was I supposed to say?
I'm
Was
still
there specific-
I'm
Right.
we're still doing it. Oh, okay, good. Yeah,
Right. I never did that because we were. Like, to me,
Mhm.
you won't hear from me unless the date
gotta
changes.
right. Like we've
I have
had
to
a couple
cancel,
times.
or I
There's a
have to
couple
move
times
it.
that I've had to cancel, and coming down, I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll come down this weekend. Maybe that means maybe we have to recheck. Right.
Right,
It doesn't
that's
mean
fine.
yeah, and
exactly.
that's what I'll say if I'm not sure. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say maybe we can do this Saturday or whatever. Yeah, that works
Right.
for me. Okay, maybe I'll try to come down.
You always say to me, well, let me check. I got to check on something because I think whatever.
do,
You'll
because
be
I get
like,
because my business is crazy right now.
I know I
you
have. You'll be like, I know I have something, and I got to be sure that it's not that day. You've said that
right.
to me.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
and we'll figure it out, right? So that's okay too.
Right.
I don't mind that, but that means it needs to be clarified first. Don't expect me to be there, but and I will tell you when the time is. I'm going to be there. I'll be there. You know how many times I've been down to your house? A million, and it wasn't like, well, call me tomorrow and verify. It's
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't.
I
it
know.
doesn't-
I
don't
have to
get it.
remember though that like not everybody.
Yeah.
I just have to remember that everybody else has to.
I mean, I've done the
I-
same thing.
a lot
I've
of human
sat waiting
beings-
for somebody, and I called them, and I'm like, "Are you coming?" And they're like, "Oh, I didn't hear from you." I'm like, "Hear from me what?" I have
Yeah,
a
what-
friend
hear
that
what?
was
Like,
always like that, right? I'm like, he's like, "Oh, I didn't hear from you, so I'm assuming you're not coming." It's like, why am I supposed to call you and be like, "Here I come"? I mean, what?
I know.
I don't.
I'm on
get
my
it.
way.
Yeah, no, I don't get it.
I have friends that do that. I'm like, okay then.
Okay,
like
see you
I know
soon.
you
I
said
don't-
you would be on
it
your way,
doesn't-
so like,
It doesn't hate me. I don't hate it, but
know.
I'm not necessarily. I don't necessarily do it. Right. I don't think it's
Right.
necessary.
I think people like a lot of hand holding.
I think so.
You just like a lot of hand holding.
Yep. I definitely
No,
think so.
leave the nest, fly. Just jump out and fly.
Right. Just do
You
it.
know?
You can do
But
it.
anyway,
Yeah. But
we could
okay.
do this all night.
No, we could, and we're not. So I think that the time has been sufficient. And thank you guys for sticking around with us for so long. This is our
No, we're
first
down to
live
5, but
podcast.
we'll have quite a bit. I think we'll probably have quite a bit on the residual. So
I think so too. So it's just a long one, and so people will watch a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you guys for
As
checking in
usual,
on us.
Dave and I talk too much. Yeah, so we do appreciate you guys checking in.
And
We'll go
sticking
back
with
to
us,
the
the ones
comments.
that
We'll put our comments back in as we go
Yes.
through them later.
Yeah, for sure. And we also we may pick a couple of these topics to build topics on, because I think we've touched on some pretty cool stuff tonight.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I knew it would.
So-
I knew if we started, it would just go.
No, I knew
There would
it
be
was
all
gonna
kinds of
too.
stuff that
yeah.
rolled.
I mean, yeah, just I did too. And so for the guys, for all of you that stuck around with us, we appreciate you. And yeah, I have been David,
I have been Lena, as usual.
as usual. Yeah, we're not changing that for anybody. And
No.
we will talk to you all soon. And
Yes.
yeah,
We'll
and
see
don't
y'all
forget,
soon.
if you love us and truly love us, and even if it's not an emotion, you want it just to be an action, here's an action you can do to show love. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Lena and Dave and buy us some coffees. We love our coffee. And
before you go, don't forget www.lenaanddave.com. That is our main site. So, and everything is off of that. So all of our podcast platforms are on that, and our social media is also all on there. So,
everything.
ooh, Joelle's sending me coffee. Good, because my cup's almost empty, Joelle.
Yeah, I need
Perfect.
I need coffee in the morning.
Yeah,
so,
you do.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm beat. I went out and had cocktails last night, and
Yeah.
I'm paying for it
That's what you
today.
get, Dave.
I'm
You
not
know, at
gonna
your
lie.
age, you can't be doing that
I
stuff.
will I'm denying my age, so yes, I will. No, I won't. I don't really get
I
much
will too, then.
opportunity to have a full day off the next
A
day.
group
So
deny. Yeah.
yeah, so I had like a few days in a row off because of this long weekend. I took it, and yeah, it was nice. I actually did some great stuff. So
Cool.
thank
I'll
you
hear
all.
all about it, I'm sure.
Yes, you will, and that will not be recorded. Absolutely not. So you guys have a spectacular day, and thank you for coming by and watching on Facebook as well.
Yes.
And remember one thing, and I have to say this when I'm on Facebook: be good to one another. It's pretty simple. Just don't be an ass. It's easy as that. So you
Don't be a jerk.
yeah, that too. Jerk, ass. I try to say the bad way.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. We will talk to you all soon. Bye.
See you later. Hey, you just listened to Love and Life with Lena and Dave. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast, leave us a comment or review, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. We'll see you soon.